Board of Commissioners meeting will begin at 6:04. Will Commissioner Terry Lister lead us in the pledge and invocation?
I will, Madam Mayor. Thank you. Please join me in a prayer. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we seek blessings on the task before us. Bless our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, our work with clarity and accuracy, and our decisions with impartiality. We gather here to make decisions for our community. May we use only our best skills and judgment, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral as we consider the merits and pitfalls of each matter that is placed before us, and as always, act in accordance with what is best with the city of Madeira Beach and our fellow citizens. It's in His name that we pray. Amen. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the interim city clerk please call the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Lister?
Here.
Commissioner Hodges?
Here.
Commissioner Oakley?
Here.
Vice Mayor Douthert?
Present.
Mayor Black?
Present. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for the budget workshop 8/1/17, BOC workshop 7/25/17, BOC regular meeting 7/11/17, budget workshop 6/30/17, budget workshop 6/28/17, BOC meeting 6/19/17, and the BOC workshop and special meeting 5/23/17.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any comments from the city staff or commission? Yes.
Yeah, on the 7/25, there was the presentation by the 9/11 committee. It says this item is to be put on the next BOC for the August 8th meeting. I don't see it on that.
Didn't make it. Didn't make it.
I'm just saying it didn't make it, so it's incorrect.
Right, exactly. Thank you.
Any other comments? Interim city clerk, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Lister?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges?
Yes.
Commissioner Oakley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Douthert?
Yes.
Mayor Black?
Yes. At this time, I'd like to approve a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I so move, Madam Mayor.
A second. Any comments from the commission or staff?
Yeah, I'd like to pull consent agenda off. I'd like to talk about that one.
Let's just talk about it when it comes up. We can talk about it. Just because it's in the consent agenda doesn't mean you can't talk about it.
Usually you just vote on consent agenda.
No, you can talk about anything that's on the agenda anytime you want to talk about it.
Okay, you can leave it there.
All right.
Any other comments? Will the interim city clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Douthert?
Yes.
Commissioner Oakley?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges?
Yes.
Commissioner Lister?
Yes.
Mayor Black?
Yes. All right, next we have the law enforcement services. Mr. Pierce?
Mayor and council members, Captain Lanier is here from the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, and his schedule is kind of tight. He's got to be in Indian Rocks in the next hour or so. But you have attached, for your review, you do have the FY 2018 law enforcement contract. We did receive from Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. The amount, the total amount is $1,238,369.36. This represents an increase of 2.49% from this year's budget. This year's budget was $1,227,500. There was an adjustment made due to last year due to a shift transition, and maybe the captain can talk about that, from 8 basically to 12-hour shifts, which basically saved 19,000. But we're very satisfied with these numbers that we did receive, and with that said, we'll introduce Captain Lanier to address the council.
Hour shifts, so you're all aware, kind of took it, so we needed less people. So when we had 8-hour shifts, you obviously need 6 people out here to cover the same 24-hour period. Going to 12s, it takes it down to 4. So that's the adjustment we made there. The 2.49% increase, so everybody's aware, just like any business, and just like the city business as well, there's certain costs. Ours are obviously, that is attributed to health insurance, our FRS, and our pay plan, things like that. What I can tell you is that the sheriff is obviously very committed to being fiscally responsible. We look at all of this every year to make sure we are providing things at the best cost for the city and for the residents of the county. So with that, I just kind of wanted to let you know where the numbers came from, but if there's any particular questions I can answer, I'd be happy to address them now.
One of the things I saw on there when I was reading it is it shows 3 crossing guards. I know the 2 were up at the other school. Where's the 3rd one at?
I just see it in the contract, but I'll get you, I know there's 3 because I had to confirm that, but I'll get you the answer on it.
Okay, because all I've ever seen up there at the school was 2.
I think they had added one recently. I actually have the school crossing guard program, but there's 174 posts countywide. So, but I will follow up and get you that. I apologize for not having that now.
Thank you.
I can't thank you on the service that you guys are doing out here. We really do appreciate that. And I want you to know that the city of Madeira Beach is behind everything that you guys do. I know Sheriff Telly has a tight budget, but I noticed that the mileage rate was 77 cents a mile, and I wondered how long that has been since it's been looked at, since it's been adjusted, and if we could look at that in next year.
I know they do regular studies on it, but I can get you when they did the last one. And when they applied that, but I'll get you that as well.
Again, our community policing officers and our code enforcement officers that you guys supply for us are fantastic, and they've done a fantastic job for the city, so kudos for your services. You can relay that back to the...
And we appreciate, thank you, we appreciate that. Obviously, the sheriffs are really responsive to all the residents and the cities, so if there is ever anything, that's one of the main reasons he put me in place. I work as a liaison for the 10 South County contract cities. So I'll work closely with the city manager or the acting city manager, whoever from the cities to make sure we're giving that level of service. So please, if there's nothing comes up here, something does come up, please, I'm here 24/7 to address whatever needs you have.
Captain Lanier, I do believe that other school crossing guard is over on Doomy Road, just behind Publix.
Okay, I appreciate, like I said, I will confirm. I should know, like I said, that's my program. It's just
Pretty sure I
somebody to
saw
post.
one out there.
Thank you. Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, next we have a presentation by Dominic Bueller, a 10-year pin and plaque.
Lieutenant Todd Armstrong, Madeira Beach Fire Department. First, I'd like to thank everybody that was involved in the purchase of our new fire truck. All of us 12 firefighters really appreciate it. It's going to give us many years of service. It's going to help us protect lives and save properties. So we really appreciate everybody that was involved in allowing us to get that. All 12 of us would also like to thank Trish. If anybody's ever needed anything done at the fire station, Trish is there to help. The 12 of us, whenever the tone goes off, we handle all the emergencies, but she basically keeps everything running smooth and efficient at the station. So we wanted to thank her. Tonight we're here to basically appreciate 3 of our 12 firefighters. Each of them have come to a different milestone in their career. First one I'd like to recognize is Eric Ubelis. Can you come up, please? Eric has only been with us for 1 year. The first year he's on probation, and that first year he goes through training in-house, fire and EMS. Fortunately, he's on my shift, so I've seen him work. He's basically has to be able to get up at 2 in the morning and then again at 4 in the morning and function, get on the truck within less than a minute, go to emergency call, and be professional and prioritize what needs to be done. He's very good at that, and we appreciate everything he's done. So with that, we give him a badge, which gives him off of probation, and then we also give him a new helmet. We start off with the black helmet, which is training, and then they go off probation after a year and get a yellow helmet. So first, I'd like to pronounce you with this helmet, take you off probation, and then also a badge. Okay, next, I'd like to ask Dominic Bueller to come up, please. Firefighter paramedic Dominic Bueller has been with us for 10 years now. He's also one of our drivers. He has to go to school to be able to be a permanent driver and learn how to pump the truck. He also is on my shift. I'm fortunate to have him on my shift because he's also an acting lieutenant, and he handles emergencies very well, both fire and EMS. And it makes my job easier when I have somebody as qualified on my shift as he is. So with that, I appreciate the 10 years, all of us, with your service. I give you a plaque here. It says Madeira Beach Fire Rescue presented driver engineer Dominic Bueller in grateful appreciation for your 10 years of loyal and dedicated service to the city of Madeira Beach. And also he gets a 10-year pin. That he was 10 years with the city. Thanks. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, last is Lieutenant Childers. Can you please come up? Firefighter paramedic Andy Childers has been with the city for 5 years. Not only is he lieutenant, he's in charge of the shift, all emergency calls. He has to be able to handle all kinds of emergencies in a professional manner. He also, if you see a lot of these fire trucks out here today and tomorrow, he's a training officer for Pinellas County. So today we've been doing surface rescue training with a lot of units in Pinellas County. He's in charge of that, so that's why you've seen a lot of trucks out here today, tomorrow, and the next day. He also has been an intricate part of being on the engine committee. He basically was in charge of finding an apparatus that was work for our city, cost effective, give us a lot of years of service. Also purchasing equipment that we would need for that piece of apparatus. So he's put a lot of extra time and energy into that, and we all appreciate that very much. So with that, I have a 5-year pin for you. Thanks. That's all.
Next, I would like to ask Mayor Travis Palladino if he would join me and the commissioners at the podium. It's my pleasure to present this plaque to Mayor Travis Palladino for his 6 years of service to our beautiful city, Madeira Beach. He's done a fabulous job as our mayor, and I just want to thank you so much for your service.
your turn.
Not that horrible key.
Yes, you've done this so many times for other people, and now it's your turn to receive yours. Travis, you've done a great job the last 6 years you were here, and with all the improvements in the city that you are part of, it's fantastic. Really miss you. And a lot of success.
I just want to say Travis was the instigator for this box here, guys, right here. So he should get one of these, absolutely. Travis, I want to say before I leave that I so enjoyed serving with you for 6 years, my friend. It was amazing. What you did for the city is just cool. It really is. You brought the city to a new level, and I was just happy to be on the commission with your leadership for the city of Madeira Beach. So thank you for your 6 years of service, and thank you for continuing to be part of the city of Madeira Beach in your businesses and staying here. And the way that you go around and you talk to everybody in the city was amazing. That for me to see, it made me go out and talk to my neighbors, talk to my constituents more, just to see the way that you really put a big effort into it. It's a tough job to be the mayor of any city. But for you to show that type of stamina, to do that for 6 long years is really good. And that is obviously not any kind of consolation prize, but we love you. We thank you for helping the city of Madeira Beach, and you did help the city of Madeira Beach. So thank you again, my friend.
Well, guys, like I said, it was a thank you. It was an honor and something I'll remember, especially for the rest of my life. To our firefighters, guys, outstanding presentation. Andy, I remember when I pinned your badge on you and I put the lieutenant bars on you. Dom, known you for a long time, my friend. And I'll tell you what, guys, y'all do an outstanding job for the city. It was an honor to work with y'all. It was an honor to be on the MSAC board for the county and bring Pinellas County dollars back to the Madeira Beach Fire Department. Thank you, gentlemen.
I'm not sure if everyone's aware of this, but there are some people in the audience who I don't think want to stay for the whole meeting. So we're going to bring number 13 under new business, city manager's position, before public comment, and then we'll get to public comment. So, Chief, do you have some words?
Madam Mayor, actually, I was going to reserve my comments till the end so I could get everyone else's comments, and then I could give you my information. But I will tell you this. I have been in the city of Madeira Beach since 2001. During that time, that 16 years that I've been part of this community, there's been a lot of changes here. We've gone through 5 different city managers and 6 different acting city managers. Things change within this department. Things change in communities. If you look at the ICMA, they're going to tell you every 3 to 5 years, you're going to be looking for a new city manager. And that's just part of the process, and it's part of the system that we work under. Over the past 2 or 3 months that I've been sitting in this position, I've thought a lot. I've contemplated and I've prayed about, not only about this city and about me, but about the process that we're going through. We're in a very difficult time with our society. It's a very critical time where people are very intolerant, but they demand you to be tolerant during these situations. Things are no longer acceptable. It's no longer acceptable to lose a position or become in second place. You know, I look at our city, and we're actually a microcosm, I think, of the federal government. You know, when you talk about, or listen to people talk about Donald Trump, they're like, you know what, he's not my president. Yeah, actually, the fact of the matter is, he is your president. I hear the same thing from our commissioners and our mayor. You know what? He is not my commissioner. He's not my mayor. The fact of the matter, he has been elected, duly elected, to serve in that office, and that's just part of the process. When I was growing up, my parents taught me to be a good sport. When I came in second place, or I didn't win, or something happened and something changed within the organization, my father taught me to be a good sport, be a good leader, to accept those changes, be a gracious loser, shake your opponent's hand, move up, move on. If you come in second place, it was your responsibility to try harder, to study, to learn, to do whatever was necessary to be better than next time, not whine, cry, and complain about the bitter lot that you've been presented. That's not what we as Americans are supposed to be about. We've got enough snowflake mentalities out there where we absolutely can't afford to lose or to come into second place. But I think it's very important for us to start looking forward and stop looking back. There's nothing behind us to look to. It's a serious situation we have here, and there's a lot of significant issues occurring within the city of Madeira Beach that we, as an organization, have to address. It's been told that, you know, the wheels are falling off of our community. And I got thinking about that. I said, you know, I really need to evaluate that and think about that fully and clearly to see if there's any validity to what we're talking about. So I thought about it from an operational standpoint. You know, are the tires falling off of this organization? And as I look at it, there's nothing further from the truth. You have an outstanding workforce of city employees that are doing a fantastic job. You got people that are working late, they're coming in early, they're doing multiple tasks and multiple jobs. I've never heard one of our city employees step up and say, you know what, that's not my job, or I'm not going to do that. Our city employees are second to none. They do a fantastic job for our city. So operationally, we are definitely not falling apart. Then I thought about it administratively. Are we falling apart? What's happening with our city? I got thinking about it. I said, you know what? We do have some critical issues going on. Here tonight on the agenda, we're going to give up $135,000 in legal fees. Now, those legal fees are money that's coming out of your pocket, coming out of my pocket, and out of these citizens' pockets. This is not something that I did. This is not something that this new commission did. This is a situation that's occurred that's going to be charged out to our city account. $135,000. Think what you can do with $135,000. We just talked about last week about the Tampa Bay yacht. $25,000. We could spend that 5 times over and still furnish that. Think of all the good things we can do for our citizens and our communities with that extra $135,000 that we just wasted. You know, here within the last couple of days, got a conversation from one of the attorneys saying, hey, you know, if you don't file this paperwork within the next 14 days, you're going to lose your ability to defend your position as an attorney, or as a city. I'm like, holy mackerel, 14 days to file, 10 different sets of actions that we have to take. Why do I only have 14 days? They said, we've been asking for this for over a year. There are some issues going on in the city. You're absolutely right. There's some things that are falling apart around here. The last big issue that I can think of is our flood mitigation issue. We've got 5 properties within this city that the federal government is breathing down our necks, saying that if you don't come into compliance, you are at risk of losing 20% of your flood insurance. That's a pretty big deal. I don't know about you, but I'm not willing to pay an extra 20% for issues that have occurred that somebody else is doing. 5 properties, it's going to affect the entire city. I'm not willing to pay for that. I'm not willing to take the hit for that. I don't want someone stepping up saying, hey, you know what, Chief O'Neill did this. It's not me. This was all done before me. It was done on a different watch than what I'm on. Pretty big deal. So we've got some issues. So yeah, when you talk about, the city falling apart and the wheels falling off, we got some serious issues to be resolved. And those are a few right off the top of my head that I can think about. This isn't done to point a finger at anyone. It's just to simply lay out where we're at and where we're going. We've got some serious issues that need to be resolved, and I'm willing and able to assist the city in any way possible. You know what? You decide that you want to make me your city manager tonight. I'm happy that I can be. I will do everything in my power to move forward and help this city out. You decide, you know what? Nope, Chief O'Neill, you're going back over to the fire department. Nothing actually could make me any happier than going back to the fire department because I love my firefighters. We have firefighters here in the city that are like the rest of our city employees, second to none. They do a fantastic job over there. You know what? Somebody even told me that threatened me over this week, said, you know what, we could fire you. And you know what? I'm a work-at-will employee. You can fire me any day you want to. I don't care because as far as I'm concerned, it's about doing what's right. And if you want me to be your city manager, I'll be happy to step up and do that. You have other ideas, I'm willing to agree to whatever. I work at this commission's beck and will. With that said, Mayor, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Well, I've said this before, and I'm just going to say it again. Chief O'Neill stepped up right after, when we needed him to. He was there. He's been doing a great job. As chief, he knows how to build a team, and he knows how to do the right thing, and he's shown that to us. So, my recommendation is that he should be our city manager.
Chief O'Neill,
Yes, ma'am.
we had a good talk last week.
Yes, ma'am, we did.
I appreciate your time that you gave me. And like I said, you're a great fire chief.
Thank you.
I'd like to make you happy and go back to the fire department. Like you said, that would make you nothing but happy to be over there. But I really feel that's the place for you.
I appreciate your comments. I would like to know what you think the future progress of the city of Madeira Beach would be.
If you stayed,
No, if I go back to the fire department.
well, that's what you've been doing all these years. You've worked at the fire department. You're a great fire chief.
Thank you, ma'am. What's our city government going to do? What's our city manager going to do?
Well,
How are we going to
like,
lead?
like we talked last week, without going into a lot of details, being interim city manager for a little while longer, that would be fine. You're ready to, you're going to want to retire in a couple years. I know you are. So, it's to your advantage to go back to the fire department and be happy. And I think we will be okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, Treasure Island has had a hard time getting a good pool of candidates, and I'm sure we would get that same pool of candidates, and, they couldn't find anybody that was qualified. And we have someone here who's tried and true.
I agree. Chief, I think you've done an excellent job since you took over, and I think you would make a great city manager. Take the interim away.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Since this came up at the workshop, I've probably had 20 to 30 phone calls and some emails. And I would say that it's about 50-50 on not putting you in as city manager. And the other half is, yes, let's go with them, And I've sat down with you, and we've talked, and I've done a lot of soul searching. Sometimes I just don't know which way to go. Sometimes it's like, yeah, let's do it. Other times it's like, no, let's don't do it. Very conflicted, to say the least, on this. I would just say if, my thoughts right now is let's go with you. But if I do that, I just have to ask you from the bottom of my heart for both the residents of Madeira Beach as well as for myself is just not to let us down, to really get in there and do what is needed to make this city move forward. So that's what I have to say.
I guess at this point, we will open the,
Chief,
excuse me.
Yes, sir.
you know, our first discussion was about you being the city manager that we had in the office over here. And not always, but most of the time I go with the first impressions, the gut feeling. And you told me that you didn't want to do it. And we discussed that slightly about what was going to go on. But seriously, I don't want to go in detail about why you shouldn't be city manager, because there's a ton of those reasons. But I'm just going to say that you're not the best fit. You're not going to be the best fit for the city manager. You're not going to be the best city manager. You know, we haven't done a lot of research here, guys. The last city manager that I put in place was a good process. Nancy was part of that process. We got a headhunter, and Madam Mayor, not to correct you, but the city of Treasure Island had ICMA come in and give them 9 candidates that were not good candidates for the city manager, and they paid a headhunter now, you know, whatever fee they pay them, which is upwards of $25,000 to start that process. So they're just starting the process that we went through when we found Mr. Crawford as a city manager. And, you know, it's a fairly easy decision for me. We had a good city manager in place. You guys decided that he wasn't a good city manager, and now you want to hire Darrell, who I think is not a good city manager. So, you know, it's a tit for tat. I'm going to sit here and, you know, tell you all day long that this man is a fire chief. That is what he does. He is a fire chief. And if you want a city manager, you're going to have to pay somebody to go out and find a city manager that's done it in the past. It's simply not a job that you can learn. It's not an on-the-job training job. It's a tough job that city managers have to go through, and it's long hours, and it's something that I would never want to do. And I told you that before, Chief. I would never want to be city manager, because these 5 people up here can fire you because they don't like the color of your hair. Now, that being said, you're going to be upset because give me another reason, but they don't have to. We don't have to. I mean, we really can just fire you for any reason. And for you to have 27 years as a tenured fire chief over there, it just doesn't make sense to me why you want to go through this process. You know, we've had a fire chief set in the city manager's place over here and simply didn't work out. So the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. And I know you're a different man. I understand you're a different man than Mr. Mallory, but, you know, it's a stressful position. I don't think you're ready for it. And I will certainly not support you for that. I can't make you the city manager of Madeira Beach in good conscience.
Thank you, sir. My only question to you would be, why don't you want me to be your city manager? I'm better educated than any city managers you've had since I've been hired with the city of Madeira Beach. That'd be since 2001. You know, educationally, I'm very well qualified for this position, and I think that I'm up to the task. The vice mayor said not to let him down, and I will not let him or this city down. So
This is what I got. I don't even have your resume. You never put in a resume. I don't know, Chief. Well, tell me, this is what I got. You may read it. I got a 1-page letter in my packet for getting the city manager of Madeira Beach.
I reached out to you to ask you to talk with me a couple of times since this whole process has started, and you refused.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
no,
Yes,
Chief.
sir. Right
No,
on
sir.
all
I
those
have
steps
never
out front.
refused to talk to you on any position.
Yes, sir.
You called me the other day on the FDOT, and I talked to you just like man to man.
Absolutely.
I will talk to you on any position that deals with the city of Madeira Beach, any position. I'd just like to go through the process of weeding the other people out that are not better than you. Chief, I'm not saying you're bad. I'm not saying you're uneducated. I just need to have a process that we go through, so when the other half of the people that sit out here and say, why did you hire Chief O'Neill? I can go through the process and say, this is the reason I hired him. He's more qualified. He's got more of this. He's got more of that. You don't. You simply don't have enough qualifications to become the city of Madeira Beach city manager. You don't.
I respect your opinion.
And I respect
I work
yours,
as
sir.
a little commission, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more comments from the commission, staff? Floor is now open for public comment, and please remember the prior rules. State your full name and address, speak into the microphone, and please be civil. Yes. In the back. Okay.
John Hendricks, 569 Normandy Road, Madeira Beach. First, I want to thank Chief O'Neill for pointing out the $135,000 settlement with the attorneys. The attorneys are the part of the group from Madeira Beach United, of which Mayor Black, Commissioner Oakley, Commissioner Dothert were with before they were elected. So our tax money is going right now to pay the attorneys that sued us, and we've got 3 commissioners sitting up here that were a part of that lawsuit. I think that's unconscionable. I also want to say that September 12th is the date. That's the date for the start of the recall for Commissioners Oakley and Dothert. 90 days after that will be the recall for Mayor Black. And Darrell, I like you. You're a great fire chief. You're lost as a city manager.
Robert Preston, 425 South Bayshore Drive, Dare Beach. Pretty short and simple. I spent over 20 years as a firefighter medic up in Alaska. I spent 20 years as a firefighter medic up in Alaska. It's not on?
I believe it is. Just get a little closer.
And a fire chief does not make a city manager. They're 2 totally different jobs. And I would be willing to bet that if you put the fire chief in a city manager, we're going to lose state funds, federal funds that are potentially available to us because he is not qualified and have the background for those types of searches. It's a different job than being a fire chief. And I understand I understand you're an excellent fire chief. And I look at your team here, and it's something to be proud of.
Thank you.
So, but I don't think that a fire chief makes a city manager. And you really need to look for somebody who will totally look out for the city monetarily, from a state level, from a county level, so that we do not get ourselves in trouble. Thank you.
Steve Rayo, 557 Crystal Drive, Madeira Beach. I've known our chief since he moved here, since he came into the job. I like him, but this is not a popularity contest. I think he could do the job of interim, the same job he's doing now. And I would hope that until someone who has the qualifications that have been alleged that our chief doesn't have, I don't know what his qualifications are for city manager or what is needed totally to be a city manager. But this is not rocket science. A person either has those qualifications or they don't. He's an administrator. Some people think that if you're an administrator over here, you can be an administrator over here. But it's been mentioned this is not on-the-job training. We are in the middle of some pretty serious business here in this city. And we need someone that's going to get on top of it and hit the road running. We can't wait. I don't like the idea of headhunter, quite frankly. It's money that's going to go out of our pockets again. There must be a better way. If Chief would stay on as interim manager, he's doing a good job, but it's not the whole job. There are things that are going to come up that a person knowing what to do will do them. I love the chief. And these two over here, I love them like a big brother. But they've hit the nail right on the head. The resume that you said is non-existent, that's an important point. We need somebody with a resume. The chief's got a great resume, but it's as a fire chief. And we need somebody that can do the job now, not 6 months from now. I hope we can find that person, but we gotta wait. Chief, I hope you stay on, helping us as you have in the past. He's always stepped up in the pinch. But doing a pinch hit and being a regular is two different things. Thank you.
My name is Ron Loggett. I'm 13231 Gulf Lane. Well, I think the chief will make an excellent city manager. I think he's got the skills, he's proven himself in the job, and the pressure he has on this particular job can't even compare to the pressure he's going to have, which is, I think, a lot less as city manager. He's 24/7 right now. That's his responsibility, and I can't get any more responsibility with the city manager. We've got a proven record. Need to stop the turnover. The chief will stop that turnover. He is a resident here. He's been here for a long time. He knows the issues within the city. He knows the city better than anybody else. Anyone else coming in here is going to have a learning curve of anywhere from 18 to 24 months to learn what those issues are. People talked about some of the problems we have now. Those problems are left here. They're still going to be here. And who better to put out those fires than the fire chief? Thank you.
Good evening, Rose Loggett, 13231 Gulf Lane. Anytime you're looking for somebody to hire somebody, you look at their skill sets, not necessarily their specific, experience. Those skill sets translate from one job to another. A fire chief doesn't work by himself. Neither does a fire brigade. You have to identify the skill set of every working member. You call on those members to perform their skill set in order to accomplish the task. We've got a grassroots person, a person that understands Madeira Beach, understands who we want to be. Yes, we went out and we looked for somebody before, but did we have the integrity, the honesty that we so need right now? Do we have those core values that we seem to have lost? Do we have the intention of striving to provide good lives for every person here and listen to the residents? I think we have that in the chief. And I think by telling him you don't think that he needs to take another job, I'm going to tell you, after 29 years in one profession, I crossed over. I immediately knew the lay of the land. I identified the SMEs, I called on those SMEs, and I've grown it from a small organization to over $250,000 in funding alone. That's a lot of money when you talk about only getting up to $50,000 before that. So I think when you look at the person, you need to look at the whole person, not just the person on a resume, because a resume only tells you what they want you to know. You need to talk about the person, the heart, the commitment, the perseverance, the person that's going to be honest. Chief, did you take an oath as a fireman?
Of course.
And what did that oath say?
It talks about integrity, honor, leadership.
And I think those are the qualities that we so need, because somewhere we lost them along the line. We've become bullies. We've become people that made decisions, you know, that when residents walked in, it was already a done deal. We also heard from the previous city manager, I'm only the quarterback. Well, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I don't see the chief operating that way. I think he's going to take ownership, accountability, and responsibility. That skill set will transfer. I say elect him or appoint him. Thank you.
Marv Merrill, 581 Crystal Drive. First, let me say to the chief, we certainly owe him a gratitude for filling in at a tough time, and he undoubtedly has done a fine job. And I've been here over 30 years, and I've seen the chief operate all the last 16 years or so, and he's an excellent fire chief. But I do think that we owe it to the citizens, you owe it to the citizens, to go out and get the best possible person you can find. The mayor mentioned Treasure Island not having much success, but they spent $25,000 on a headhunter, and that's nothing when you think of the long pull for a city manager. I've been here and I've seen us advertise for a city manager over those years, and we've had some excellent candidates. People would give anything, up north especially, to move into this paradise, so you get excellent candidates. And we need a city manager, and I'm not saying that we should take the chief out of the running. I think he should be considered with any other candidates you might get through the headhunter. But we need a city manager, certainly with experience, knows how things operate as a city manager. He's been trained as a city manager, and I don't see any shortcut. I think that those of you that are willing to go with the chief are just taking the easy way out. There's certainly nothing wrong with getting a dozen or 24 candidates down here that you could look at their resumes, narrow them down to 2 or 3, interview them along with the chief, and then make your decision on who we want as city manager. But this city, we've got an $18 million budget. We've got some problems. We've got a debt that's there for the next 30 years of over $15 million. We need an experienced city manager. That's my position on it. And again, the chief is a wonderful gentleman, and I'm certainly not opposed to him because of anything that I know about him other than good things. So thank you.
Peter Trott, 378 145th. I support Darrell. You can get rid of him anytime you want to. If he doesn't do a good job, get somebody else. But he knows where it's at. He's been through. I'd like to speak to another aspect. We need to get some more people here that are spending money. Back in the 80s, I bought 20 rooms up in Clearwater at the Holiday Inn. Holiday Inn there said, why don't you get out and see what Madeira Beach has got? So we moved those 20 rooms down here for a little bit over a year. That's how I got here. The fact is, when the Holiday Inn was there, it was a great property, tennis courts, pool, great tiki bar, and a lot going on downtown. Once the Holiday Inn disappeared, all those vacationers were gone. The ones that came with big dollars in their pockets and kids and whatever. And the tiki bar left too. The Marriott here does real well, but that's more of a commercial hotel. They're not here for the beach or whatever. I think we need to get our development back going. I think the previous administration
Point of order.
maybe didn't have everything right.
This is not, point of order, this is not on,
He's correct. This is only to be, you can only speak about what this particular
Can I
agenda.
speak later?
Yes, you can.
Okay, I'll finish later. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else? Am I missing any hands? Okay. All right, then,
And Madam Mayor, prior to entertaining a motion, I just wanted to point out what the charter says specifically about with appointment of the city manager. It does say that the manager shall be appointed solely on the basis of his executive and administrative qualifications. So that's what your charter holds you to for appointing a city manager.
okay, thank you. All right, at this time, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we hire Darrell O'Neill as our city manager.
I'll second.
Any more discussion from staff, city commissioner?
Do you have any desired salary? What are you gonna pay him?
Well, I recommend that we hire him,
You need to come up with a contract. Erica.
And I can certainly negotiate that, but this is an
Right.
appointment of the city manager. And we can always fix his compensation at a later date, but if you're going to appoint him, you know, you may wish to have that discussion.
Okay.
Because you're appointing him based on his qualifications, but you haven't negotiated a salary or benefits or anything of that nature,
well,
so.
can we appoint him based on the fact that we can come to an agreeable decisions about what to do there?
Well, once you appoint him, and then you have to remove him later on, regardless if there's a contract or not. So, you know, that's gonna be up to the commission. My suggestion would be that, you know, I would assume that you would have discussed this, you know, at least when you had your one-on-one meetings with the chief, what he thought his salary range should be, because that, you know, that's gonna be the interview process. I mean, I was not involved in that process at all. So my suggestion would have been to have an interview process with him, and to talk about those things. I have no idea what was discussed at those meetings that you had with the chief.
Basically, we're going to do that following the same line of thought that we did with the city clerk when they come in. We appointed her in the position. The commission had discussions with the city clerk, and the decision was made from there.
Well, let's be clear that the city clerk has not yet been appointed. You have already had salary negotiations with the city clerk. You offered her the position, but she was not appointed yet she's not yet been appointed as the city clerk.
That is true.
Once you appoint Chief O'Neill as the city manager, if the negotiations fall through, then you are bound by the removal process that you have set forth in your charter to remove him.
Can we delay this until next month to give a chance to negotiate?
Yes.
I don't see any point in delaying it. We can always change our minds later and do just what our attorney has said, and that would be to terminate him if he doesn't do the job.
Well, it's not that he doesn't do the job, it's that you're appointing someone to a position, you don't have a negotiated contract, and if you appoint him and the negotiations fall through, or you can't come to an agreement, which I'm not saying is going to happen, but if it does so happen, then you've already appointed him. You must go through the steps that your charter sets forth to remove him by resolution, give him his hearing period, give him, you know, everything that is afforded under the charter for him to either appeal that decision or you know, argue his position against it, which is going to take time. It's going to take public hearings, or excuse me, public meetings. So I mean, obviously it's up to the commission to make that determination, but my suggestion would be to negotiate a contract prior to officially appointing the chief as city manager.
I kind of agree with that. I think, you know, if we do negotiations, have the attorney negotiate with him, then we have a chance to look at the contract before the next board meeting, and at that meeting, we can vote on it then or appoint him then at that point, versus if we can't come to an agreement, to have to go through all the litigation that we have to go through and just make it that much harder on the city and on us and everybody else.
I just don't think it's going to be difficult, because I think that we will be able to come to an agreement without any problem.
Well,
I have talked to the chief,
What
and
does he think about it?
I haven't talked to the chief.
well, and Madam Mayor, it is, as another point too, nothing will change as far as his position now. He's working as the acting city manager, so his duties are not going to change between now and the next meeting. You know, but my suggestion from a legal point of view would be to get a negotiated contract down before you officially appoint someone, where you don't even have a basis for what you're going to fix his salary as.
well, as I said, I have had a conversation with him, and in that conversation, it would be a similar contract to Shane Crawford's. Probably not quite as extensive or as much, but
His starting contract when we first hired him at $117,000?
similar, not exactly.
Really
Which
should
way do
be
you feel,
negotiated.
Chief?
Madam Mayor, from a legal standpoint, I think that you should postpone this until such time as we can negotiate that contract, then we can get back together and finalize those details. I can guarantee you, we're not gonna have an issue resolving the contract issue. I would never put this city or this commission through the drama of dragging out the contract negotiations for the city manager's position.
Well, then, any more comment?
Well, and we still have a motion that's on the table,
Yes.
so unless that motion needs to be withdrawn, that motion needs to be
You make
voted
a
on.
motion, so you need to withdraw it.
Okay, I'll make the motion to withdraw the hiring of the city manager
At this time, yeah.
at this time.
That was a good choice. We do need the contract.
I would agree. It's
Thank you.
about putting a little bit the cart before the horse, and I do apologize, I wasn't involved in the conversation, so I wasn't aware how far we were. So this will be something that'll just be on the next meeting agenda, and I will work with the chief and try and get a contract negotiated, hopefully to bring to you at the workshop, so that the commission can review that.
Thank you. All right, next we have the consent agenda, the surplus truck 90 and 96. Chief O'Neill?
Do we not have to do public comments first before that?
Yeah, I think Peter wanted to talk.
Yeah.
I don't know if Madam Mayor's got the floor.
Hold on a second here.
Hold on, Pete.
Well, is this about Chief O'Neill?
No, it's about public comment. Open the public comment section, because we skipped that.
I think it was about the developments.
Right, we had brought number 13 up forward, so number 13 got put before number 4, and I believe that we're on number 4 on the agenda.
Oh. Okay. All right, go ahead. I apologize.
Pete Trot, 378 145th. What my concern is that we need to get some dollars coming through this town. When the Holiday Inn was here, 149 rooms, and the Holiday Inn in Clearwater, where we had 20 rooms, suggested that that wasn't such a good place. Why don't we try Madeira Beach? We came down here, we had over a year, 20 rooms, and we moved personnel in and out. It was just a very wonderful experience. They had the tennis courts. People that were coming down, most of them were inspectors, would bring their family. They would spend some good dollars. They would enjoy what we had here at Madeira Beach, and that's how I came to Madeira Beach, because the Holiday Inn in Clearwater suggested it was a better fit. What we need is to get our downtown going again. And we've got a couple of people that are willing to put the gold up and spend a lot of money redoing and providing the facilities. What we have with the courtyard is a very good business. It's commercial. It doesn't bring the families in like what we need here. And this town, I have lived here since '88, and I don't spend a whole lot of money. I go to Winn-Dixie and Publix and whatever. What we need is for our retailers to be able to make a living. When our Holiday Inn disappeared and all those weekenders, one-weekers, whatever, were here spending their money. Our retailers made a living. When Holiday Inn disappeared, they ended up disappearing, and we need them back. We want our retailers to be able to make a good living, and it won't affect the people that are here as residents. Thank you.
Steve Rayo, 557 Crystal Drive. Everybody is chasing dollars. And this is a fact today. The captain of the sheriff's office talked about prices going up, benefits. Everything is going up. From my personal experience, our homeowners insurance went up. Our car insurance went up. Our flood insurance went up. The mortgage, the interest on the mortgage of our home doubled, just the interest. And how do we get dollars into the city? Government is not a business, but it should be run like one. We can't keep depending on the residents to fund everything. We as a municipality have certain rights. I'm not an attorney, but maybe our attorney could tell us, is it possible when we have all of this potential tourism coming in, we've got ball fields, people can hire these ball fields, we could rent them out for clubs or whatever. I heard that's a possibility. A lot of events can be held here. We've got parks. We've got the waterfront. We've got a lot of attractions to bring in people. My thinking is something that wouldn't hurt too much. I'd like to keep our taxes low, that's for sure. I'm tired of people thinking that the only way to get money is to raise your property tax, which discourages people, by the way, from improving their properties. So I don't like that idea at all. But what about a small increase as a municipality? Could we do something like the penny for Pinellas? The rest of the state is 6%. Pinellas County, 7%. How about 7 1/8%, 7.25%? That we could develop a growing income. The more people that we bring in, the more goods, services that are sold, the more money would come into our city. And I don't think it would even be noticed by our visitors. But I would certainly notice it if you raised my property tax. Thank you.
Marv Merrill, 581 Crystal Drive. I wasn't going to discuss the budget tonight, but we had the city had a budget workshop meeting a week ago. And I've looked at city budgets probably for the last 30 years. This year we've got a 136-page, $18 million budget that should concern all of us. The commission members in the budget meeting a week ago, the new members certainly tried to get some cuts in the budget, the proposed budget. And if you recall, a couple years ago, we had a millage increase of 23%. Just about every fee that the city has been raised. It was a decision to cover the huge $15 million 30-year debt that the city has. And the increases totaled over $1 million coming into the city. And one of the reasons for that added money was because we've got that huge debt ahead of us of $15 million. For instance, we pay $1 million this year. I think in 2019, the budget debt goes for that year goes to $2,212,000. But there's concern about the fact when I look at the budget, we're gobbling that money up within the various departments within the city. For instance, last year, and by the way, before I mention the employees, if we've got any employees that are underpaid, for gosh sakes, pay them. But last year, we had a 4% increase across the board. This year in the budget, another 4% increase for the employees. Those two together equal over $350,000. Looking at the budget and just a couple examples, for instance, the fire department went from 2015 up to 1.3 million. This year it's 1.7 million. It's gone up $400,000. So that's just one example. Another example is the recreation department. The recreation department budget was $600,000 in the year 2015. This year, the budget is $900,000. And I might add that the majority of the people that use the recreation department are not Madera Beach residents. Taking a look at the recreation department, for instance, just one item they had in their budget was $17,000 for travel.
That's 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just one last thing.
I'm sorry.
All citizens should be concerned about the budget, and it's a preliminary budget and needs to be looked at by the commission, line by line, zero-based budgeting, and get it under control. Thank you.
Robert Preston, 425 South Bay Shore Drive. You're talking about budgets, you're talking about money and that we need to spend. There's a couple projects out there, the Holton projects and the Carnes projects, that will bring money into this city, both in tax revenue and through businesses coming in here, starting up and providing services to all the people that will be coming to this community. It will add dollars to the city of Madera Beach. And for some reason, there's some really good people that have bad ideas about trying to curb that type of development. We need that development so this city can continue to strive and shine among all the other beach communities on the Gulf here. So look at the Carnes project and the Holton project and support them in what they're trying to do. It will help the city out immensely.
My name is Cindy Edwards. My address is protected. In talking about the budget, I agree with this last person that the Holton and Carnes projects, they really need to get on the road and get going. Both developers have made a significant cutback in the amount of rooms due to complaints from us residents in trying to keep some of our density under control here, along with the traffic. So I would like to see these projects get going and help bring money into the city. Also, some things have sort of been brought to my attention about event fees here in Madera Beach being waived and fees not being collected in a timely manner for events that we have here at the city. And I'd like you to take into consideration, because a lot of people don't know where this money is and when they got paid. And I'd like to see, some sort of forensic accounting be done here within the city to find out where some of this money is going. And one thing that I was surprised to hear through the grapevine, so I don't know if it's true or not, but the city actually makes charitable donations to other charities. And I don't know, I guess I had never heard of this before. So anyways, if we could get the projects going, we could get a little more income going, and maybe our taxes won't go up. And as far as the 5 properties that are not within FEMA, I do believe they should be made to come within their FEMA regulations. Like maybe if they put in an elevator or they built over 50%, which I'm assuming, they built over 50%. I don't think we as homeowners in Madeira Beach and longtime residents should have to see our flood insurance go up by 20% because 5 people obviously got some sort of permission from somebody to do this building, or either building inspector wasn't doing his job correctly. So if we could address those issues. Thank you.
Good evening, Mike Wyckoff, 161 131st Avenue. I thought I'd take this moment to say hello to everyone and let you know I'm the one who applied for the Planning Commission and my application got lost. Andrea was kind enough to help me out today, so I just wanted to introduce myself to let you know I was here, and I did apply. I actually walked in on June the 20th with that application, so it wasn't like a last-minute thing. So if there are any questions when that time comes, I'll be here available for you to answer any questions about experience or whatever you may have for me. So I just want to take this few moments to introduce myself, and thank you.
Rose Loggett, 13231 Gulf Lane. I think some of the speakers that we've heard in the past have said that the residents of this community are adverse to having a development. I think that's incorrect. What we are concerned with is developers coming into the area and commitments being made before, anyone else has heard about those, and then all of a sudden you've got somebody saying, well, why don't you go up 11 stories? You could go a PD instead of going through the regular process. And I think that's what concerns the residents. I think we also have seen people come in and basically rob and pillage. They come in, they build these huge things, and it's for sale. Take the Barefoot Beach Resort. Look at what's happening there. It's already up for sale. And that's right across the street from me with a proposal that their garbage area opens directly in front of my house. So I think those are the kind of things, that was already basically a done deal. There's commitments to me that were made. They were also told they were going to go close Gulf Lane. And thanks to the chief bringing it to the attention, that's the only alternate access road you have on Gulf Boulevard. So that would impede us as residents as well as emergency vehicles. Another thing is this development here on 150th Street or Tom Stewart. I think that Mr. Carnes came in and he met with those folks that were proposing that he, build to the sky or whatever. He has since recognized that the community is a small fishing village, and that's what we pride ourselves on. We're not Clearwater Beach, we're not St. Pete Beach, we're not Miami Beach. The people that are coming here want to come because it is that small, old Florida, still town that you can get around. So Mr. Carnes has made significant changes to his plans, and I think those are the things that we need to look at immediately and start moving some of those developments forward that are consistent with the character of Madeira Beach. Thank you.
Anyone else? Public comment is now closed. And we will go on to the consent agenda, the surplus truck 9096.
Yes, Madam Mayor. These two vehicles are literally just approving that we can send these trucks to auction and put this money back into the city funds. As we've discussed before, we've got one that's 79 years old, one that's 80 years old. They're both have multiple issues, multiple problems. They've already been scheduled to be replaced, and this is simply to send these vehicles to public auction.
Are you pulling it off the 2018 budget? Truck 96?
This is money that's going back into the city funds. This is,
I understand that, but truck 96 is scheduled on the, it was in the very back of the book, capital improvement. Right, it was scheduled to be replaced in 2018.
correct.
So it's coming off of 2018.
Correct.
That didn't look very convincing.
I think what he's saying is they're gonna sell these trucks.
These are
Right.
simply the trucks that are going away. I am not familiar right now with the trucks that are being replaced, but these trucks are scheduled to be replaced. These trucks are trucks that are coming out of service that are going to be sent to auction.
96 is going to auction the chief's new vehicle, or the vehicle that were just purchased. Then his old vehicle or current vehicle will go into the parking department. And that is reflected in the budget.
Okay.
And
But I'm
his new
saying,
vehicle,
only thing I was saying is the money to buy the new vehicle is in the 2018 budget
It's in-
versus this
Yes,
year's
ma'am.
budget.
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we surplus truck 90 and 96.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion from the commission? Any more discussion? Public comment? All right, I have a motion and a second. Will the interim city clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Lister,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges,
Yes.
Commissioner Oakley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dothert,
Yes.
Mayor Black.
Yes. Next, we have the public hearing for 355 Boca Chica Drive.
Yes, Madam Mayor, as this is a quasi-judicial proceeding, I will go ahead and outline the quasi-judicial procedures and open the public hearing. This is a quasi-judicial proceeding where the Planning and Zoning Board, where the Board of Commissioners acts in a quasi-judicial rather than a legislative capacity. At a quasi-judicial hearing, it is not the board's function to make law, but rather to apply law that has already been established. In a quasi-judicial hearing, the board is required by law to make findings of fact based upon the evidence presented at the hearing and apply those findings of fact to previously established criteria contained in the Code of Ordinances in order to make a legal decision regarding the application before it. The board may only consider evidence at this hearing that the law considers competent, substantial, and relevant to the issues. If the competent, substantial, and relevant evidence at the hearing demonstrates that the applicant has met the criteria established in the Code of Ordinance, then the board is required by law to find in favor of the applicant. By the same token, if the competent, substantial, and relevant evidence at the hearing demonstrates that the applicant has failed to meet the criteria established in the Code of Ordinance, then the board is required by law to find against the applicant. There is an established procedure which is found in the Code of Ordinances for the City of Madeira Beach, which will be followed for a quasi-judicial hearing. Prior to proceeding with that procedure, I'd like to ask any members of the Board of Commissioners if they have any ex parte communications or conflicts of interest they wish to disclose with regard to this application.
No.
I do not.
Seeing none, if I could ask the applicant and anyone wishing to testify on behalf of the applicant or of the city this evening to please stand and be sworn in. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
So sworn. At this time, per the Code of Ordinances, is the applicant will be presenting their application to the board.
We seek to
demolish 355 BOC Drive and rebuild within the existing footprint, bring it up to the existing codes.
And at this time, if city staff has any questions for the applicant, or if the Board of Commissioners has any questions for the applicant, you may do so, may ask the applicant.
Does this property, is the new property going to meet all FEMA requirements so we don't get in the same position we are with these other houses? That will meet all FEMA requirements?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Someone called me on this today. I guess a lady that lives a couple houses down, and she said,
Next door, she called me.
well, she told me 2 houses down, I don't know. And she said that when they were doing another house, a couple houses down from that, and somehow cracked her foundation or from the vibrations or something like that. I just want to make sure that this is all being considered, that, you know, it's not going to put this lady's house in jeopardy by doing this. Maybe it is the next door neighbor.
She's a next door neighbor, and when they rebuilt the house on the other side of him is when it caused her foundation to crack.
Yeah, so.
We will take all precautions to keep anything from being damaged.
But the question I have is, it says that you're gonna meet the current setbacks and side backs and all that, but you're not falling in that. How does that work?
This is, and obviously staff will be presenting next, but that is within your code. This is a non-conforming structure, and as long as they redevelop within the same footprint, then it's acceptable under the code. So when the property was first built, it met the setback criteria at the time. The setback criteria has probably since changed, and so as long as they redevelop within the same footprint, it is acceptable. Are there any other questions for the applicant? Any questions from staff?
No questions.
Okay. At this time, then staff will go ahead and give its report to the commission.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor. Louis Serna presenting staff comments. This redevelopment of 355 Boca Ciega Drive is being done in accordance with Section 110-97 of the Land Development Code. This section encourages a redevelopment of non-conforming structures subject to making certain upgrades. And in this case, for a single-family residence, it basically, it has to be built within the same general footprint, but it does have to be built to FEMA requirements and all building code requirements, rather than not allowing these sorts of non-conforming structures to rebuild or requiring that they meet all current setbacks, which in some cases would not make the redevelopment feasible. We do have this provision in the code that does allow the redevelopment in the same footprint, but meeting the new height standards. This current structure is built on grade, so it doesn't meet any of the FEMA elevation requirements. So it will be elevated to the new base flood elevation, and it will again meet current codes, building code requirements, which will make it a stronger structure. Currently, the lot, as indicated in your report, or the current structure does not meet the rear setbacks or side setbacks, but according to the code, it is allowed to be replaced as long as it meets those same non-conforming setbacks. The Planning Commission heard this item on July 31st and recommended approval of the redevelopment subject to 3 standards, and staff is recommending approval subject to the same 3 standards. These conditions, rather, are that the proposed reconstruction shall be for a single-family residence. The proposed redevelopment shall be within the footprint of the existing structure as shown on the survey submitted with this redevelopment application. And third, the proposed redevelopment shall comply with the existing building codes in effect at the time of permitting for such redevelopment, including floodplain regulations.
And with that, if the applicant, do you have any questions for city staff at this time? Okay. And if the Board of Commissioners has any questions for city staff at this time, you are able to ask them. Nothing from,
I have none.
Nothing from the commission. All those in the public wishing to speak in favor of this application, would you please come forward at this time? Seeing as there are none, is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application? Seeing none, then the public hearing will now be closed. And Madam Mayor, you can certainly have discussion and entertain a motion.
All right, I'll entertain a motion at this point.
I make a motion that we, for public hearing to consider a redevelopment plan for property located at 355 Bocasiega Drive.
Second.
So just for clarification, you're moving to approve the application before the board?
Yes, ma'am. I apologize.
Any more comment from staff, board? Okay, interim city clerk, please call the roll.
I apologize. Is that a motion with approval as per staff recommendations with the conditions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so just for clarification, the motion is to approve the application before the board with the conditions set forth in staff's report.
Correct.
Okay, and the second is to that motion as well?
Second.
Okay.
Vice Mayor Douthat,
Yes.
Commissioner Oakley,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges,
Yes.
Commissioner Lister,
Yes.
Mayor Black.
Yes. Next, we have the FEMA grant contract. Marcy Forbes and Al Carrier.
Good evening. My name is Marcy Forbes, and I'm here to present on the FEMA grant contract for 2015. This is a continuation of the workshop topic, so you guys were able to see the contract and review it, and we were able to go over some questions. So tonight you'll be asked to vote on whether or not the city would like to move forward with participating in this 2015 grant cycle.
So it's your professional opinion that the Parsley one, the one that we're looking at, 178,000, is just not doable for that number, Marcy? Is that what I heard at the first meeting?
Yes, sir. And that's to be honest with you, that's my overall concern with all of these and the grant amounts. The actual construction costs that have been awarded to these homes currently doesn't match up with the cost per square footage for construction that's currently going on in Pinellas County. I think we've seen a pretty significant increase in construction, and costs have gone up increasingly as well. And I feel like with this construction budget, it will put the homeowners at odds with being able to complete the construction of their home. And the likelihood of being allowed to spend increased funds beyond this is not likely.
So the city has no matching funds in this. This is all matching funds from FEMA. So the city has nothing, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We are on the hook if FEMA doesn't put their portion in.
Is it so they don't approve it? FEMA doesn't approve
No,
what they've done?
FEMA's got it approved at this number. So Marcy's just saying it will not happen at this number. It just won't happen. And then they're stuck with a building that's unfinished, and it's an eyesore for people that live next door to it. It doesn't even have a roof on it sometimes. So that being said, they won't let them spend more than this amount, whatever this amount is. When they hit it, they stop construction. And that's a terrible thing for the city. We should never get involved in these if they're gonna give these ridiculous prices.
Also, I think, if I'm correct, that if we did approve it, we would front the money and then wait for FEMA to give it to us.
Yeah.
That's another negative.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is correct, and I will say, it is a reimbursable grant, and we have been successful with the current grants getting reimbursed in a timely fashion, but at the end of it, if it's not completed within the grant requirements, the FDM, from what I've been told, from them, can very well come back and say, we didn't meet the grant requirements and ask for the funds back.
That being said, John, they've never not paid, is what you're saying. They've never not paid, but that window will open sooner or later.
Correct.
I mean, it's gonna get tighter. So what happens to these 6 homeowners if we don't approve this?
That becomes the big question. What would happen is if the city decides moving forward that they would like to participate in the FEMA grants in some capacity, then moving forward, these homeowners could reapply for a grant. But at that point in time, the goal, in my opinion, would be to come up with a more reasonable cost that they propose to build within, and let FEMA run their benefit cost analysis, and if they decide that your property at this location supports a benefit cost analysis of, let's say, $400,000, and they approve it, then that's a more reasonable budget and coincides more with current construction cost. So I would say the goal would be to have, if the city wants to participate, have the grants approved for a reasonable construction valuation.
Can you tell me how many of these 6 have laid out money? Have they started the project? Can they start the project without FEMA's approval?
No, none of the funds are reimbursable until the city executes the contract fully with FDM, and then I always encourage the owners not to spend any money until they in turn go under contract with the city.
It seems like a no-brainer to me. We're not going to do this. Let them come back with a workable number that's going to be something. I have no problem with them reapplying. If they reapply, what's the cost to reapply?
The way it would work is there's a grant writer that they could work with, and it would cost usually around $2,500. They could reach out to the grant writer, pay the funds. On behalf of the city, if the city is willing to support the grant writer will enter it into what they call the e-grant system, and it'll run through the whole process. And if it's reviewed and approved, the homeowner can be reimbursed for the money they spent to get the grant written.
What is a reasonable average square foot here in?
The cost per square foot? I've spent some time, going around and doing a little research, and I've kind of put the hard ask to my contractors, to say, give me a real number. And what I've come up with is around $230 a square foot for a bare basic home. This is going to get you, based on my research, kind of what you see when you go to like Destin or Panama, some of those beachy condo type stuff, open beneath. That I think could get you a decent home, and then you can always come in after the grant's complete and after you've met all your obligations and renovate and add the more expensive balconies or whatever you want to do. Once the CO and once the grant's complete, the homeowner does have the option to come back. They're no longer bound by the FEMA grant requirements.
So these are all way under that for our area.
Yes, unfortunately, and I would love to stand before you and tell you something different, but it wouldn't be fair to put these homeowners in a no-win situation, in my opinion.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, Nancy, but these numbers were given out in 2015?
Correct. These grants were written in 2015, and some of the argument that I've had, or I should say discussion that I've had with FDM with some of the previous grants were, at a minimum, can you not look and recognize that there's been a 12% increase in cost and automatically give these homeowners that 12%, because it would make sense to me. But that is not how it works. These numbers are hard, fast, regardless of when they were written and how they were derived.
I kind of think we wait and let them come back with new numbers to us.
Well, let's put the ball back in their court. It's their ball now. They can have it back, and if they want to spend the $2,500 and get another estimate, that's fine. But these 6 are definitely not going to be sanctioned by the city of Deer Beach. There's no way that they can build a $230 square foot house for $109, $115. We have stupid numbers up here, and I'm sorry to say that, but it's just not good.
I had nothing to do with the numbers, so you're fine.
Again, do you want a consensus? Is that what you want, or?
You guys will, I assume, Erica, do the normal voting process.
It would be to either approve the grants or to deny, or move to not approve.
I'll make a motion to not approve any of these 6 grants.
I'll second that.
Do you want me to give the addresses?
It's not necessary. You can just say the FEMA grant contract.
Any more comments from the commission? We have public opinion now.
Hello, my name is Marcia Zuckelman. I live on Bay Point Drive.
Bring the microphone down.
I understand the predicament that the board is in with these homes, and I agree with what you're doing. I will be putting in for this cycle, hopefully to be approved for next cycle, and hopefully with a decent number. My question is, I am paying someone that is an experienced, what do you call it? The grant writer, and he will be submitting straight through FEMA on my behalf. But you guys are my tribe that represent us, so you will be paying me after I bring you every receipt, hopefully for the future. My question is, is Madeira Beach, from what I understand, Al Carrier will now be handling some of those FEMA questions. Is Madeira Beach going to be helping the homeowner, for instance, these 6, or if I were to have a problem in the next, as a liaison for FEMA and the homeowners? I mean, they're basically asking us to build a $150,000 home on a $500,000 lot. So is someone going to represent us in Madeira?
Are you saying the same way Marcy does for you, for the way she's?
Basically, yes.
Who's replacing Marcy?
I understand, and if I'm not mistaken,
Yes, we do.
Al Carrier will
Carrier.
be there. But I also understand FEMA this year is going to be giving money to the counties or tribes to represent the homeowners.
Again, FEMA's a great, thing to have. It's a good thing to have. When you get FEMA money, you're making a better place for you to live with safety and that type of stuff. But when you have your grant writer even think about getting money, he's gotta be way closer. The knowledge that we have up here is this $230.
I understand why this
He's
is.
gotta be way closer to that. As a city of Madeira Beach, absolutely. We're here to help you in any way we can to make this a safer place. And
Who is
Al
going
Carrier
to
works
find
for the
out?
city of Madeira Beach.
Who's going to find out the
Consultant.
money's available to you guys that FEMA's willing to give to the city to help
I
us?
think that's gonna be the city manager's job. He's gonna have to reach out and find out what monies are available and where that's gonna be.
Okay, that's my question.
No, I got a question for you. Excuse me. If you have somebody writing this grant, this started in 2015, I guess?
No, I'm doing a new one.
No,
presented
this
for
one here that we're looking at started in 2015. If he goes and writes you a grant and it takes 2 to 3 years to come back again with the cost of everything going up, are we gonna be in the same position if he doesn't make it high enough?
I understand. We're taking into consideration some of the rules that FEMA has and presenting them our case.
Okay,
They'll
and
say
as well
it's
as
either a
inflation.
mitigation, or they'll say it's not a mitigation. I also have been in touch with Kathleen Peters and Commissioner Charlie Christ. So they're aware of the problem that I have in my home, and they know that something needs to be done. So I'm sure they could also be helping me out.
Okay.
But I also need to know that there's someone in the city reaching out to help those 6 plus me next year.
Thank you.
We have a serious problem.
Thank you.
Tom Edwards, protected address. Two things that I noticed here. One is in this.
Talk up a little bit, please. Can hardly hear you.
One in this grant talks about homeowner displacement cost. And the federal government is paying a certain percentage and the homeowner is going to be paying a certain percentage. Now, of these 6 people, 3 are current, have homestead exemptions there, and 3 do not even live there. So the cost to the federal government under this FEMA grant right now for all 6 would be $140,580. Why are we paying someone that doesn't live there for homeowner displacement costs? Makes no sense to me.
We don't make the FEMA rules.
No, but that's the other thing that I don't know. Can the contract be amended if we did that in the future? So it's something to consider. The other thing is, the money that we give to the homeowner, we're paying out, we're dispersing from our funds. It may take 60 to 90 days before the city recoups that money from FEMA, but we don't get any interest on that money.
Welcome to the government.
Exactly. So because of these issues, should we go ahead and continue this process or not do it at all? And right now, you all have some heartburn over the existing contracts, and so I just urge that we not approve this.
Anyone else? Any more discussion?
So again, my motion was not to approve.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
Commissioner Lister,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges,
Yes.
Commissioner Oakley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Douthert.
Yes.
Mayor Black.
Yes. Next, we have the Planning Commission applicants. We have 3 applicants, Mary Ann Hearn, Jerry Clyett, and Mike Wyckoft. I'm not sure of the procedures for,
At this time, Madam Mayor, I would just suggest that we take each of them in turn. You have the opportunity, if you wish, to ask questions of the applicant, and then after like a short interview, after you do so, you can certainly move to approve, but I would just ask that you take each one in turn to approve for appointment.
okay? Well, the first one would be Mary Ann Hearn. Please approach.
Hi, I'm Mary Ann Hearn. I live at 14105 West Parsley Drive.
Does the commission have any questions for Ms. Hearn?
Hi, Ms. Hearn. Why do you want to be on the planning commission?
I love Madeira Beach. I live here. I've been here for 3 years. I grew up in Florida, lived in Chicago for a while.
Talking to the microphone.
Pull that mic down just a little so you can get a little, there you go.
And I love my community. So I volunteer here at City Hall. I'm very dedicated to what's happening here. And I see a bright future and a kind future for Madeira Beach. I think it's a lovely place to be.
Do you have any issues with the schedule for the planning commission meetings?
No, sir.
And how long have you lived in your current house?
I've lived in my current house almost a year. I lived on 129th for 2 years.
Good neighborhood.
Any more questions? Thank you. Next, we will have Jerry Clyett.
My name is Jerry Clyett. Can you hear me? Is there a secret? Just lean in like that? Okay. My name is Jerry Clyett. I live at 14040 Marguerite Drive. Lived in Florida since 1988. My husband is a native Floridian, his family 1841. So we love this state and we want to watch it grow. And that's one of the reasons why I want to be on the Planning Commission.
Any more questions?
Do you have any issues with the meeting schedules?
Do I have any, I'm sorry, I didn't
Do you
hear.
have any issues with the meeting schedules for the planning commission?
No, not at all.
And how long have you lived
I've lived in Florida
Marguerite?
since the 80s, but I've lived in Madeira Beach for 3 years.
Okay, thank you.
Jerry, I didn't see your resume, or your application, I'm sorry. But were you the one that was involved in real estate? You are. Okay, so you're pretty familiar with properties and everything.
My
Okay.
husband's a builder.
Oh, okay, all right.
I love that. I love anything to do with the land.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm sorry? I know. And the third person is Mike Wyckoff.
Madam Mayor, while the candidate's coming up, if you could please turn off your microphone when it's not in use, it will eliminate the feedback that we're getting. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm your player to be named later, and thanks for indulging me here. Been a resident of Madeira Beach since 1980 when I started attending Madeira Beach Middle School. So I've been here for quite a while, played Little League Baseball right out there on the fields. I live at 161 131st Avenue, good neighborhood. And been an active member of the community in several ways, with civic organizations and just being all around town. My business is also located in Madeira Beach, so I have a vested interest in the city. I've always been someone to get involved. I was previously on the Board of Adjustment back when we had one, and I was also on the Marina Ad Hoc Committee, so have some inner working knowledge of how the city goes about its business. I'm also in the real estate business as well. Have been a real estate broker since 1991. Have a degree in marketing with a minor in economics. like to think I'm relatively bright and can think through some things. So would love to put my talents and dedicate some time to the betterment of my hometown.
And why do you want to be on the planning commission?
Well, I love my little town, and I think I have some talents that I can donate to the city for the betterment of everyone, and I have a vested interest in the city. As I said, my business is here. I own several properties here, and I just like to get involved.
Just quickly, Mike, when you were on the ad hoc committee for the marina, what was your, some of your advice for that? Was it when we were leasing it out, or?
It was when we were deciding how to proceed with it, whether it was going to, they were talking about doing a high and dry potentially on the facility or on the property, and rearranging the slip arrangements as well as moving the boat ramp around and things like that. And at the time, I was working at a large development in South St. Petersburg that was a marina being redeveloped, so I had some pretty hands-on experience for that, so kind of helped out.
And you applied for the planning commission, what, 2 years ago?
I did a few years ago, and somehow my application got lost then too, and I never got considered. So I'm starting to get a little bit of a complex, but I got broad shoulders. I can take
I would
it.
see why.
Yeah, so I'm here.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And Andrea, just for clarification, there are 3 open positions on the planning board?
Yes.
Okay. So at this time, I would just ask that the commission take them, you can either take them one by one, or you can take them as a group as to what you want to appoint individuals, or if you want to appoint them all. since
I got
there
a
are
question
currently 3
before we,
Yes.
some of these are some of these 2-year and some of them 3-year? What do we have open? I mean, I know we have 2-year and 3-year positions on the planning commission. Are these 2-year or 3-year?
I am not sure. I'd have to go and check that.
Yeah, I think that's something we need to know, and then we need to decide who we want at 2-year and who we want at a 3-year, if it is different ones.
Erica, can that be decided at a later date? Can we appoint them to the
Yes.
planning commission? 'Cause we got 3 applicants, we need 3 holes. We're gonna fill these 3 holes, and then we'll tell them their tenure
Yes.
at a later time.
Okay,
Let's do that.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I make a motion that all 3 applicants are approved for the planning commission.
I'll second.
Terms to be determined at a later date.
Okay, I'll second that.
Any comment from the public? Any more comment from staff, commission? All right, we either roll.
Vice Mayor Douthat,
Yes.
Commissioner Oakley,
Yes.
Commissioner Lister,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges,
Yes.
Mayor Black.
Yes. And congratulations. And thank you. Next, we have a presentation from the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council, Brian Ellis. Did I get the name right?
My name is Ren Kroll.
Oh.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm Director of Administration for the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council, and I brought along my colleague, Mr. Brian Ellis. Brian is our planning technician and a native son, and a self-proclaimed Madeira Beach historian. He's a little bit younger than me. When I moved here, my folks moved me my senior year in high school, and when I would walk across the bridge to go to the beach, I passed the Cajun Diner and went over to the Red Barn. So that kind of tells you I've been here for a while. We are here this evening to welcome you and the City of Madeira Beach as our newest member of the Regional Planning Council. We've been around for 56 years, since 1962. Mayor Herman Goldner of St. Petersburg, a rather flamboyant mayor at the time, saw a real need for local governments to think more regionally and not always jurisdictionally. The Regional Planning Council is made up of 6 counties, and that's Citrus, Hernando, Hillsborough, Pasco, Pinellas, and Manatee. And Madeira Beach makes our 21st municipality. So we have 21 municipalities. And our actual council meets 10 times a year, second Monday of the month. And we have 27 elected officials total who sit on the council, with 13 gubernatorial appointees and 3 ex officios from the Florida Department of Transportation, 1 from SwiftMud, and 1 from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. So we're here this evening to welcome you all and to let you know that the Regional Planning Council was conceived to serve local governments. Most of our member governments are small to medium-sized member governments. Our largest are, of course, the counties, and then we also have our largest cities are St. Petersburg, Tampa, and probably Clearwater would be next. There are 4 focus areas that the Regional Planning Council tackles and in a more regional fashion, and that is one of economic development, transportation and land use, natural resources, and emergency preparedness. And some of the highlights with the economic development piece, we serve as the economic development district, and there's several mandatory things that we have to do for our local governments in order for you to be able to apply for federal grant monies through the Economic Development Administration. So that's a critical piece to the council. We also assist a lot of local governments, a lot of our smaller municipalities, in economic analysis of events that you may put on. One is the Strawberry Festival that we did for Plant City. We can put a dollar amount on those activities and what that means to your city. The nice piece to that, as a member of the Regional Planning Council, you have access to combined, I would say, 70+ years of planning expertise. My job is to know a little bit about a lot of things and be able to point you to the right person. So all of our planners are certified, phenomenal people, very bright, and the best in their fields. We also have some great technology available to our member governments, such as the REMI model, which is a highly technological piece of equipment that we can use to model all kinds of scenarios for local governments. One of our big accomplishments, as you may recall, you see every year the official hurricane guide that comes out. Well, that was originally ours that we do, and we've done it for over 30 years now. It's now called the Disaster Planning Guide. We recently made national news with our emergency management planning, as well as our sea level rise study. We are currently helping our local governments, our member governments, with the new requirements for the Peril of Flood Act that was enacted by the Florida legislature in 2015. These resources are there for you. And as a member, we encourage you to come and have a seat at the big table. And Madeira Beach now has a voice in this region. And we're very honored to have you on board. And please don't hesitate to contact us if we can service any of your needs in the planning area, comprehensive plans, anything like that. We're happy to step up and help you all. Do you have any questions? Thank you very much, and welcome to the council.
Who did we appoint for that seat? Did we appoint somebody for that seat?
Not yet, we haven't. But we need to talk about that and see who would.
When do they meet again?
Second Monday of the month, 10 times a year, so 10 months.
9 o'clock, I think it is. Okay. I'll volunteer for that.
You're the man.
Put that name down. I got that. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
What happened to that Marine thing about volunteering?
It suggested we might want to take a brief recess and reconvene in 5 minutes. Is everyone agreeable with that? All right. We are now recessed for 5 minutes. The meeting is now reconvened at 8:14. Next, we have the, under new business, Waste Connections rebate increase.
Madam Mayor, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Before we do continue, we didn't make a vote on the first item on the agenda for the law enforcement services after Captain Liner made his presentation. I think we should vote on that before we move forward.
All right, any more comment on that before I ask for a vote?
Only to say it was a little over 2% increase, so it's a good deal, and they do a great service for us, so I'm obviously in favor of it.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion then.
I'll move that this commission pass the law enforcement services contract for 2018.
I second.
Any comment from the public? All right, will you please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Douthert,
Yes.
Commissioner Oakley,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges,
Yes.
Commissioner Lister,
Yes.
Mayor Black.
Back to new business, the Waste Connection rebate increase.
Mayor and council, Ian Boyle is here to speak on Waste Connections. Before he does, it is just a recommendation of management that the contract with recycling with Waste Connections be extended for the final year, which includes a rate increase of 2.5% starting in January 1st, 2018. In the current contract, there is language that there is a cap, and that there can't be an increase beyond the 2.5%. And with that, Ian can do a little presentation on that.
The curbside recycling and recycling at the condos here in Madeira Beach. Since the start of this contract would have been January 1st, 2014, and then we were obviously previous to that as well. We've enjoyed our partnership here with the city. We're going into our last year of the contract with the extension if it's approved, and we just hope that you approve the extension and also approve the increase, and we'd love to service you for another year.
So I think, Ian, our whole goal when we started recycling was to get rid of some of the tonnage that we were taking to the landfill. That was our goal. I know we educated people when we first put out our blue bins, and we threw out, do we have any literature that we send out on an annual basis that just reminds people, listen, this is what we can put in there? I had a couple move in the other day. What can we put in our recycle bin? I said, these guys take everything. They really, do we have to get paper over here and plastic over here? I said,
We haven't
done an education.
We haven't, since we started the program,
Right.
we did send some information out.
And I know we did, but.
And since then, nothing has prompted us. Madeira Beach recycles well, so it's one of the better recyclers on the beach, so.
And they do, but can I get some kind of brochure that I can leave here at the city hall, and then when somebody comes in and says, we just moved here, we can sort of give them some information?
Yeah, I can look at the previous brochure that we did in the past. We can try to just kind of alter that and get that. Yeah, that's not a problem.
Be fantastic for us. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Can you tell me, like Terry Lister just said, the idea was to decrease how much they were taking to the dump. Do we know how much is being picked up?
We don't pick up the solid waste, as the solid waste in the recycling side of it?
Yeah, the recycling side, how much?
I know every year we provide a report to the city. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head. I apologize. I do know the recycling rates in here have increased. They're in about the 40 to 50% rate. In season, when some of the seasonal people come back, those recycling rates go up, that kind of thing. One of the things you can see in here, I would defer to the solid waste department, but when you see recycling go up, you should see the tonnage go down. So if you see if you see a savings in your disposal costs on a monthly to yearly basis, you notice your recycling program is working.
I just know when especially when the Canadians come in, they're big recyclers.
They are. Yeah,
they're huge.
Go up all over the beaches. We have 7 solid waste franchise contracts up here down Gulf, and we have 2 more on top of that are recycling only, which is Madeira Beach and Indian Rocks Beach. And it's the same phenomena when the snowbirds come back, Canadian or American, recycling rates go up.
Can we get that report for the last couple of years, Chief?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
The only other question I have may be for us. Do you supply the boxes?
Yes.
initially? Because when I had the apartments in Johns Pass, I had the big blue box, which is great. I could put a lot in there.
18-gallon bins for the curbside, and
Right.
then we do, for the condos, we do 96-gallon carts, which
Ex-
is works
exactly.
best for the condos because space is a.
But there is no in-between from, it's either the 18 or the 96, because I have some people who actually have two now, two 18s, and they can fill them up. They're really religiously recyclers, which is good. They just have two bins for some
Yeah, I
reason.
mean, we're encouraging recycling, and we want to work with the residents. So if a resident calls us and they're looking for another bin, you know, we help them out. And through the course, I mean, we've had this contract now. Previous to that, we've had it almost, I think, eight years. And so over the course of the year, you know, if someone's asked for an extra bin, we've given it to them. I think we've gotten, you know, had the contract for so long, I think everyone's got their bins.
We're
The only
saturated,
ones
you're
that are
saying.
pretty much set. The only bins that we probably deliver, someone loses them, or they move and they take them with them.
So they would actually contact you, or they contact you, David?
Either or, they contact us, or we'll get a note from the
And we
city.
deliver, or they do.
I know, it's fantastic, because you do drop it off. It's great service. Thanks.
One last question. On the last page, it talks about attorney's fees, and I guess I didn't really understand what you were saying there.
For what?
Attorney fees on page 10. Very last thing.
I'm misunderstanding. Attorneys, who were,
It's on page 10, section 28.
Yeah.
I don't have that document. I mean, I'd have to talk to I know our corporate office, legal department wrote that up. You know, it's not something, 9 years I've had this job and all the 25 contracts, I've never had to worry about that piece of language, but attorneys do their own thing, so, I mean, so I'd have to look into that. I don't know, as far as, no disrespect, but I'm just saying. But I could look into that. Am I guessing if there's some kind of issue or dispute between the parties? I mean, I can find out more interpretation for you. I've never had to worry about that.
It looks like it says the prevailing parties in any dispute will take care of the costs, which seems reasonable, I would say.
Seems reasonable to me.
Again, I'm not an attorney either.
Yeah. And thankfully, we haven't had to worry about Section 28.
So this is the last year of our contract at 2.5%? What's your plan? Do you want to show me your cards for next year?
Well, it's the last year of the contract, and this actually gives the city a year to kind of think about what they want to do as far as coming to the table to look at, you know, a new contract, or if you wanted to send it out to bid again. But the contract officially was a 3-year base term with 2 one-year extensions, so this is the second of those one-year extensions.
Yeah, I'm with you, but is it costing you more to pick it up? In the future is what I'm asking you. Is it going to be similar contract, or are you going to have to go up some?
Well,
I'm trying to read.
Recent market indicators on recycling-only contracts, the cost has increased. There has been some recent bids in other cities and municipalities that their recycling costs have gone up quite a bit. Madeira Beach was smart enough to put that cap in, which kind of, you know, limits what we can ask. But I will say that there have been other municipalities, just one close by, Treasure Island, where their recycling rate went up, you know, quite a bit, twofold, threefold.
I've heard that some of the recycle is taken to Pasco County. Is there anything in Pinellas that we drop it off at and they recycle it here?
We actually, all the recycled material that we pick up is brought to our processing facility in St. Petersburg. We process about 8,500 tons per month of recycled material that's baled and then sold on the back end. One of the issues with the recycling market is that the last couple of years, it's a commodity market, so it just up and down. And the commodity market hasn't been really kind to the processors. It's starting to creep back up, but it's still been a struggle. There's certain commodities we take, glass, which has no value, which is always a negative, but cardboard, which is the leading indicator, the money getting back on the back end has gone down quite a bit, but it's creeping back up.
Yeah, is there anything you don't take? I mean, I know you don't take food and that type of stuff, but I'm,
The biggest thing that we try to tell, we don't, plastic bags that you get at the CVS or the Publix or whatever, that causes a real big problem with our processing equipment. The equipment we have is about, 7 figures, and then those things get caught into the gears and so forth, and actually shuts everything down. So that's the biggest thing. Pretty much everything else, all your normal stuff that's produced out of the house as far as, plastics 1 through 7, aluminum, paper, we process, separate, and so forth.
fantastic. And I know Publix take those bags back, as do most of the grocery stores. They'll take those bags back.
They do.
In case you're wondering where to get rid of those at.
They do.
Yeah, good job.
One question, is there any products that you take that you do not recycle if they're contaminated or something along those lines?
Well, when you do single stream processing, where everything is thrown into one bid, you have an increase in contamination. So there's, like for instance, our biggest partner, municipal partner as far as price is Hillsborough County. We process about 66,000 tons of their recycled material a year. All that material is done through carts, so that stuff is contaminated. So from them, you're looking at anywhere between 15% of the load is contaminated. So all that stuff is just then put off to the side and take to the waste-to-energy plant. So everything in Pinellas County, as far as anything we come across that's contaminated. Now here with the bins, and our guys have the ability to see what's in there, there's a little less of contamination. Out here on the beaches, people are pretty much clean recyclers in comparison to some other parts of Pinellas County. But it's not 100%, probably 10% is contaminated, then that just goes right to the burn and makes our electricity.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we pass the final year of Waste Connections contract.
I'll second.
Comments from the audience? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Cindy Edwards, address protected. I would like to see if you can't put this information also on your website. I've looked there several times. I know up in Ocala, they don't take styrofoam. So do you take styrofoam?
We take it, but it ends up being just contaminated and goes to makes electricity.
Okay. And then the other thing, and this was a question for him also, I don't like seeing those open garbage bins. Can we buy our own, like our covered garbage can that's maybe blue and a recycled on there?
I'd have to look into that because as far as the size, see if our guys are able to do it. Right now, we collect everything.
I mean, like a small,
I know, I understand. I would have to look into that and check with my operations if that's something we could do, because one of the things that happens is that it's kind of, one person does it and then it starts happening quite a bit, and that's something we have to account for. So I will check with my operations.
Okay.
I'll give you my card.
Thank you.
Shoot me an email and we'll figure it out. Yep.
Anyone else? Will the interim city clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Oakley,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges,
Yes.
Commissioner Lister,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Douthert,
Yes.
Mayor Black.
Next, we have the John's Pass Seafood Festival, Sunny Flynn.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Sunny Flynn. I live at 160 145th Avenue, North Madeira Beach. I'm the president of John's Pass Village Association. I'm here before you today. First of all, I'd like to make a statement. At the workshop, we asked for all of our fees to be waived. Reviewing what the residents have stated and their concerns, and also speaking with staff and realizing what the hard costs are, we'd like to revise our initial request for all fees to be waived and just ask for the parking revenue to be waived.
Sonny, what was the amount on the parking revenue? Basically, roughly.
The hard cost came up to 10,300, and the best guess, I believe, was 30,000 was the total fees with parking revenue.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, as you know, this is a long-standing event here with the city of Madeira Beach. And the staff recommendation is to go ahead and proceed with the new recommendation of the funding that they have presented. Thank you.
I'm good with that, with, foregoing the parking lots, but all the other hard costs that are on this, and, can we get an updated one, what you all are estimating it at, and then do an actual afterwards? So
Yep, absolutely.
I just want to make sure the city recoups everything that is even, that we've spent.
Absolutely. It's kind of a fluid motion, all depending on what
Right.
things we actually have to take care of. We can get those numbers for you, and we
Yeah,
can
but
give
we,
you an estimated cost.
I get an estimate of $10,500 here, and I don't know who put this together, but, if I could get more.
10,000 for the parking?
No, 10,000 for the hard costs. They get a $17,000 revenue loss for parking. Like I said, I don't know who put this together.
It came from Doug.
From who?
I think it came from Doug.
We'll follow through on this and make sure that our costs are covered, and I think that, the festival has committed to cover our hard costs.
Okay. I had a resident call me today, and they had some concerns about it. When the sheriffs are there, they just stick a car down there. There's no sheriff down there patrolling on 129th and East End. And it was a lot easier for the residents that live on 129th to use when, I guess Sonny used, or Susie used gator guards, because they had a real person down there, and they wouldn't let non-residents go through on 129th.
This year, we're working with Pinellas County Sheriffs. We're also working with a private security company called CIS and the Gator Guards.
Okay.
So 129th will be protected. I used to live on 129th, so I understand that completely. I also have overnight security for all the, not only the vendors, but our merchants as well, because we do have out-of-towners and we draw a crowd. So we are looking out for all people.
Okay. And they were also concerned that the streets aren't being clean and pressure washed. And what this causes is the rats come in. And they're very concerned. She was walking down the street the other day and saw 3 rats run across Pelican Lane.
I
So-
understand the concern of that. We did have the streets pressure washed last year. It's on a schedule with the city this year as well. We covered those costs to have them done last year, and again, it's budgeted for this year as well.
That also includes the storm drains.
Well, speaking of the storm drains, the vendors were pouring their grease and oil down the storm drains last year. If I hear about it and I see it, I'll call EPA myself. That is so not responsible.
I absolutely agree, and that's why we're no longer working with our promoter.
You
Is
can
it-
just
is there a
call me,
place?
I'm an inspector.
Pardon me?
You can just call me, I'm an inspector for the department,
Okay, great.
so I can issue
Okay, thank you.
illicit discharge.
I appreciate that. Is there a plan for them?
Absolutely, I have the packet went from 6 pages for the vendors to right now I'm at 22. So there's rules spelled out exactly what they need to do and when they need to do it.
Right. That's great to hear. Do we have a contract with Johns Pass Village Association?
Do not.
Okay, because I knew that Susie had one the year before for a few years or something. This is another issue that doesn't pertain to the association exactly, and I can get with them on that. But thank you, I appreciate it.
Can you tell me
Go ahead.
what the vendor expense is for $233,000?
Sorry?
Vendor expense?
The vendor expenses, we do a split with our food vendors. That's how we make our money. So last year was a 25-75 split. We got 25, they get 75. This year it's 20-80.
And your bottom line should go up since you're not splitting with SIK anymore, correct?
It should.
Okay.
We hope so.
Anyone else?
No, but are we putting this email in the record that you received?
I gave everybody a copy of that email because that came to me this afternoon, so I put that on the dais.
Can you just put that with the minutes?
Yes.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I received that email from a citizen, as you can see.
Tim Tolliver.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I was going to bring it up in public comment that it was just basically a comment from the public, so it's included in your packets.
Okay. So do we have to read it, or is it going to be in the minutes?
It doesn't have to be read, it can be in the minutes.
Okay. It's in support of John's Pass Seafood Festival, which I'm in support of John's Pass Seafood Festival. You know that, Sonny.
Yes. Thank you guys for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Any comments from the audience?
Tom Edwards, protected address. I didn't see in here was garbage pickup for their event expenses. Has the city been subsidizing all that for all this time?
No, the city has not subsidized that. They've always paid that hard cost.
Who picks it up if we don't have a seafood festival?
Excuse me?
Who picks it up if we don't have a seafood festival?
Picks up what?
Trash.
I don't
Of
understand.
course, the city picks it up, but there's gonna be 10 times more.
Just saying.
I mean, they're
You know,
probably
when
got
you get
dumpsters
costs,
versus a
we
couple
need costs
cans.
that it's gonna be. You're already paying for them to go down there. So how much more do you add on because we're having a seafood festival? I understand it's bigger. But we pick it up whether they have a seafood festival or not. That's what I'm.
Right, there's a bunch of additional, but I don't have those numbers off the top of my head.
And then the other thing was, it says event-generated income for event income. I was wondering if she could explain those figures, 369,000. I mean, I see vendor income and parking revenue and all this, but I don't understand what that particular figure is, where these figures are coming from.
Can you address that, Sonny?
Our income comes from either sponsorship. $75,000 came from our county in sponsorship marketing dollars to help us make it an elite event. We've had vendor income. We do booth sales, so 10 by 10 spaces. We also have the food and beverage income that comes in. So those are all the breakdowns of ours. So we also sell sponsorships. We had Marcellisi Law last year, Coke, and several in-kind sponsorships as well. So our income comes from several different avenues. The expense, the final bottom line, actually goes back to John's Pass Village and its marketing efforts to fill it all year long.
That's not the answer. I mean, I can see all those that you just said, but you have one here says event-generated income.
That's the food and beverage.
Above vendor income?
This is vendor income, this is vendor booths.
Is that the 20%?
No, it's at 369.
So $369 is the total income that was brought in for all food and beverage. We then have to pay it out with the split of 75-25. They get 75.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners and our home audience. Missy Hahn, Madeira Beach, Treasure Island, Chamber of Commerce. John's Pass Seafood Festival is very important to our area. In the hospitality industry, we refer to it as putting heads in beds. It does a considerably good job of that. The hotels are full that time of year. I have personally participated and worked with Sunny last year on the event. How she pulls that off is beyond me, but the Chamber does support with help with volunteers. And there's another organization I work with that she has reached out to and has helped with volunteers. So the Chamber is in full support of this event. Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh.
Cindy Edwards, protected address. I was just wondering, how much does the city actually make, and how much have they actually received from the Seafood Festival for last year? Does anybody know?
I do.
Maybe the finance director knows what the
No, I have-
city made?
I have the list from the Seafood Festival people. And
Yeah, I do have this list here also, but I just wasn't sure what the city has received on, to deposit into the city account on, from the Seafood Festival.
I can answer that. And this is what was a little misleading about the 27,000 donation to the city. Actually, the finance department, we invoiced last year in January 38,910, which comprised of 6 separate billing amounts. And I've got what those are. Those are the hard costs. And also 22, which is part of that, 22,000 for the parking. What we actually received was $9,000. So that left a balance of 29,910, which basically was written off.
Since I have a minute and 18 seconds left, basically, we didn't make any money? Is that what you're saying? That we took in, we got paid like $9,000, but then we wrote off $29,910? And the city puts on this festival and we don't make any money? Okay.
there was the 9,000, the payment for the 9,000 was for tearing up the median in the parking lot, and that was half the cost of doing that. Then there was $1,000 that they paid to somebody, I don't know who, for a rec department annual summer kids boat trip out on Hubbard's boat.
Okay.
And then 17,000 was paid to put up that new sign, the new sign that went up a year or two ago, right at the entrance of John's Pass.
Oh, okay.
But that was a year or two ago, so I think it happened before this last seafood festival. That's the email I got.
Okay, so, but I'm still confused. If we made like 9,000, we wrote off 29, almost 30,000. That still doesn't explain how much, I guess we're not making anything.
That's why we're trying to have them pay all the hard cost and
Right.
only give away the parking this year. So it doesn't cost the residents anything.
Yeah, okay.
Good evening, I'm Doug Izzo with the Tampa Bay Beaches Chamber of Commerce, and it sounds like everybody's supportive of just covering parking, and I think that's great. I mean, this event has gone on for 36 years, and you know, it'd just be a shame to see it go. As far as some of the funding that the city gets back, this event generated over, I think, 200,000 people last year, and you know, those people come here, they spend days here, they spend money here, they generate sales tax. Now, there's much money that the county generates in sales tax, that comes back to the cities. Gets split up, I know it gets split up based on full-time residents, and I think that's unfair too. We're actually working at the chamber to see if we can get that changed. But the more money that is generated within the county means the more money that's distributed out. So you guys are seeing more money come back to the city. So I just hope that you support this. Thank you.
Hi, Mike Noble, 158 131st Avenue East. And I would just here to say I support the John's Pass Seafood Fest. I live right there, and I would like to see the village like that once a month would be even better for me. I think the money that comes back is tenfold for what the city puts out. So I'd recommend you working with the association and continue this great event. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, at this time, I'll entertain a motion.
What are we making a motion for, Madam Mayor? What are we
That we
doing?
waive the parking fees for John's Pass Seafood Festival.
I'll make that motion, that we do not collect the parking fees for John's Pass
I'll
during the
second.
seafood festival.
I'll second.
Can we amend that to say that they will pay the hard cost?
Well, yeah, we could, but I don't think that would be fair to them. I mean, you know, the hard cost being during the seafood festival is the hard cost, I understand. But the reason that they had the festival at all is because it was so, there was anybody down there. So they said this is the time of year that we need to have the festival to make people aware of John's Pass. And then the people that come there, the 200,000 heads that came, they'll come back during the year. And if the citizens are so concerned that we're losing money down in John's Pass, well, maybe we should start charging the citizens to park in John's Pass. I mean, we can do that.
All I'm saying
We
is
can make money in
the
John's Pass.
events-
John's Pass makes
the
a ton of
events for
money.
the hard cost need to break even and not cost the
I think you
residents.
just need to take into consideration the money that John's Pass makes. I mean, look at the parking fund and look at the people that come there and come back again all the time. You know, and I've said it before, and I know you're getting tired of hearing it. I'm not in the business to make money here. I'm in the business to promote my city.
I'm not
And
in
this
business
is-
to lose.
And I understand that, Nancy. This is the biggest festival in the country. And it's got 36 years of history behind it, and you're just not, I don't know, you don't appreciate it? The $10,000 that you're asking her to pay for the hard cost or whatever that is seriously, it comes back in a month in parking. It comes back more than a month in parking. He just said it's $22,000 is what we get in parking for the festival, which is what, 3 days, Walt? Is that what you're basing that on, 22,000 in parking? So we're talking 4 days. So it's gonna be less this year.
So it was
They're gonna take less money.
It was 22,000 last year.
It's what they make. Every 4 days, John's Pass makes $22,000. And you're concerned about them paying you 10 grand. I seriously don't understand the mentality here. John's Pass Seafood Festival it's an icon. People have been collecting shirts for years. I've got mine back into the 90s, I'm telling you. I have a lot of John's Pass Seafood Festival shirts. They're amazing. Now, again, we got away from the original concept. Pat Shantz and Guy Gatelli, they started this thing when they made it, when they started John's Pass in '77. But they were gonna die, just like this boardwalk out at the airport. Anybody that's been around here for a long period of time knows there was a boardwalk out here by St. Pete Clearwater Airport, and it seriously dried up and died because people weren't thinking. So they came up with ideas to start the John's Pass Seafood Festival. It's a good festival. It's been around a long time. And for you to sit up here and nickel and dime it is just absurd. I just don't know your agenda. It makes a ton of money. John's Pass is a great place to visit, and it's visited 7 days a week. I can't get a parking place down there, and I got a sticker.
And a point of clarification, the motion before the board is to waive the parking fees, so that doesn't,
I'm not
whether or
waiving the
not.
hard costs.
Right.
Yeah,
Whether
whether or
regardless,
not we
it's-
include
it's-
has to pay the hard cost, or we're just not including waiving the hard cost, which was the request from Sunny, was just to waive the parking fees.
Right,
That's my motion.
okay.
And did we get a second on that one? Yes, I did. Oh, that's correct. Okay, will the interim city clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Lister,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges,
Yes.
Commissioner Oakley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dalford,
Yes.
Mayor Black.
Yes. Next, we have the Old Salts Fishing Foundation Loop Tournament, Fall King of the Beach.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Tom Rudansky, President of the Old Salt Fishing Foundation. I'm here today to ask to waive our fees for the King of the Beach and the Loop Tournament. The Loop Tournament, I believe, too, is being relocated. We don't have the facility to host the amount of the large boats at the marina. So I believe we're moving the Loop event to Clearwater for both, so we don't have a party here and then try to ship our guys all the way up to Clearwater to be able to weigh them. So today I'm asking for I haven't seen our fees, actually the fee schedule, but I would.
So you haven't seen the numbers on this
No.
Madeira Beach events fees, $1,630?
Pardon?
$1,630.
That was for the Loop.
Well, and the Loop's not going to be here?
No, sir.
Okay, you're taking the Loop to Clearwater.
Correct.
I'm with you. now.
Okay. I think we lumped them all together there.
We brought the Fall King of the Beach before the commission because it's necessary for the Old Salts to be able to start their marketing and stuff now. They can't wait. So I believe it is they were looking for a waiver of the fees, not for the hard cost of sanitation, such as we discussed with with Sunny and the Seafood Festival, but we're looking for the cost of the fields for the days requested, which was,
And I haven't seen that either.
I believe the number was, yes, sir, correct, 9,000. I believe it was 3,000 a day. Yes. So the total fee was 9,000, I believe, for the rental of the fields, and I think what we're looking here today for is your consideration to waive those rental fees of the fields, but the hard cost of sanitation and hauling that sanitation away, that kind of stuff will be paid for, as it has been ever since they've been doing this thing here.
And this will be this is our 24th annual King of the Beach, and ironically, we've had 31 events on your field, as this will be our 31st event. I also want to thank Mayor Black for inviting everybody to the King of the Beach at the Big C, so I thank you for that. I mean, everybody's familiar with the event, I believe. One thing I do want to add.
I got to.
Is that in my electronic personality? Oh, there we go. Wow. We've been partners for a long time. We want to continue that relationship. One of the things that we did do, and you may not know as well, with our last event at the Bone, we had 600 kids come out to the seawall for a free tournament. We gave away over 500 fishing rods that day. And also on that day, we displaced your youth camp, summer camp, and we sent approximately 100 kids and paid for it to go to the Clearwater Aquarium, which was an additional somewhere around the neighborhood of $1,500.
So are you having a thing that's happening at here, it's the city center?
No,
So
that's the Loop.
This is an empty, this is dead.
Correct.
Okay, everything to do with the Loop in here is dead.
Yes. Let's not make that sound finite.
So Tommy, at this time, you're asking the field fees, right, to be waived. Is that what you're?
The fees, correct. Like I said, I haven't seen the breakdown, so I believe that's what it is. I know the sanitation fees we've always paid. We bring our. Yes, they would be the fees. And we also, in the past, we provided our own trash cans. I know that the city has supplemented us, and I know they have more now, but we have actually brought our own trash cans. We bring our own infrastructure as well. So,
And in the
So you all are responsible for police, EMS, and sanitation and all that?
yes, ma'am.
Okay,
We have actually a cleaning service that we hire during the entire event to clean up trash during the event, as well as we hire after we're done, because we do use the rec center to count money and things of that nature. We also hire, thank you, Angel, to clean the rec center after we're done. And I believe I heard that there was a question about our 501c3. I did bring that paperwork, and if you all need a copy of our current standings.
So what are y'all using the rec center for? I saw somewhere where you weren't using the rec center.
We use one room in the rec center as CENTCOM, if you will, from Thursday evening after the children leave to Friday and Saturday. We're out Sunday. There's a lot of cash that changes hands, and it's it just makes it safe. We have a guard that sits in the rec center the entire time as well.
So what would that be rented out for? No, that's the city center room. That for the
Doug, do we have a
thing
rental
that's
fee on
not
that room?
happening.
It's included in their price? So the room fee was included in the $3,000 for the rental of the field.
So this is your 36th event. You have about 4 a year? Do we have 4 a year here?
3
3.
at the field, yes. And this will be the 31st event.
Been doing this over 10 years.
Yes, sir. 12. We added the bone. That was only 7.
Did we start out charging fees? We start out charging fees?
No, sir. Originally, when we first started, we had a $1,500 deposit. If nothing was affected on the field, if we didn't hit a water line or anything like that, we got the $1,500 back. We also, while we're on that, we bring out our own utility company. I don't know if that's the proper terminology, but to survey the field every time. So we mark the electrical lines, the water lines, and all this, so we don't hit it.
I know we've gotten a lot better with that in the past few years, not to hit any other lines.
Yes, we did hit one. We had a vendor make a geyser one time. That was it.
So do you see any common ground here that you guys want to go to other than just the complete waiver of the fees?
I just don't think we should be waiving the fees. I don't think, I understand they give a lot of money to charities and stuff like that, but we're not a charity to give to them. That, I don't think our residents and our taxpayers, want to do this. So I think it should be like any other event, that they should be paying the fees.
Just so to clarify as well, where the city logos are put, that's equivalent to a $50,000 sponsorship, above and beyond the millions of dollars of economic impact we have locally here. the city and economic impact. We also broke the marina fuel sales. I know they've done it again since then. That was 4th of July. But, I mean, we bring over 650 boats to the community into our fishing village. And like I said, it would totally affect our giving to our charities, these kind of fees, to where we would look elsewhere, have to be forced. We just can't absorb that kind of cost.
A huge impact. Yes, sir. Yes, we do, and we absolutely do. It's a big impact, brings a lot of folks into town, and I believe y'all made a donation back to us last year of $10,000.
$10,000, that's correct, on top of it at the end of the year. I know we also sold out. Yes.
From the combined 3 tournaments?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
I believe, too, we filled all the transit slips at the marina. We listed as our host marina and the host city.
So that does factor in on people keeping their boats here at the marina, so they'll be closer to the tournaments.
Absolutely.
That's a hard cost. That's a hard profit right there. Are we factoring any of this in? Are we just looking at the $9,000? Can we start there and start subtracting some of the costs that we make at the marina? I don't know. It's going to take some calculations, I'm sure.
I mean, you've heard from our sponsors when we did this for the Bone, what kind of impact they have. You heard from a lot of the residents. I mean, we have, just alone as members, we have somewhere around the neighborhood of 700 members that live in Madeira Beach. Not to mention the amount that fish it.
Here again, can we get an estimated hard cost
You're preaching to the
on
choir.
what, on all the locations and what the cost is to the city? Okay, great, thank you.
Madam Mayor, this is one of those institutions that's been around the city for quite some time. It's a huge benefit to us as a city, giving us recognition, and we also get funding back. The contributions that are made back to our community are huge. So staff fully supports this venture. Thank you.
Thank you. 47 years we've been in Madeira Beach.
I haven't been in Madeira Beach 47 years. So I'll make a motion that we waive the fees. And I know I'm going to get flack, but
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Any comment from the public?
Good evening again, Mayor, Council, and our home audience. I'm Missy Hine with the Madeira Beach, Treasure Island Chamber of Commerce. Pinellas County has 24 cities, so we are always competing with the other cities for funding. The events are imperative to that. It brings the tourists to the area. So whatever we can do to support the events, the Chamber is in full support. I've worked with these people past 2 years now. We've had all positive comments from it, that people love it. We have people come to town specifically for these kind of tournaments. So we are in full support of that. Thank you.
I was going to say good afternoon, but it's not afternoon anymore.
no,
My name is Dave Reed. I'm a 23 years resident here in Madeira Beach on 541 Lillian Drive. I belong to the Holiday Isles Elks, the American Legion, and I'm also a Mason. I'm an old SALT member, have been for 20 years, and I'm a lifetime member. My wife and I are both lifetime members. I'm on the board of directors, and I'm the treasurer. As indicated in the package that you should have received, we support a lot of our schools, businesses, the Elks, the Legion, Bright House Church, etc. We generate a lot of volunteers from these people. Every one of our King of the Beach tournaments, we go through probably 100 to 200 volunteers. We generate volunteers from the Rotary, the Goodwill, the Adventurous Women, and churches and our schools. Every one of our events, as Tommy said before, we are drawing a lot of people. Probably our last couple of events was 25 to 30,000 people over a 3-day period. These people are bringing boats, they're buying gas, they're buying food, they're staying in restaurants and hotels and everything. The city has been great to us over the years. We can't complain about that one bit. You've given us a lot of help, particularly with this new field. But as Tommy stated before, I believe the only thing you're going to do with charging us all these extra fees and stuff is going to hurt our charities. And we'd love to continue doing have a great relationship with the city, and we thank you for your consideration.
Hi, Mike Noble, 158 131st. Once again, I couldn't imagine the city of Madeira Beach without this event. This is a world-class fishing event. These anglers come from all over the world and enjoy Johns Pass Village as well as the new ball fields. I remember in the past going into Winn-Dixie, and I guess these fishermen like to drink because all the beer was gone. Went over to Publix and all the beer was gone. So they do more than just, you know, they contribute a lot to this community. And I couldn't imagine that we get rid of these two iconic events over minimal amount. So I recommend that you waive the fees that they're asking for, and let's continue working with them and get this back on track. Thank you. Yeah, we're trying to get them to have a sailboat division. We go out and we sail. They do need to learn something, that if you're sailing, the sailors do have the right of way. Thank you.
Is it on? Now it's on. John Hendricks, 569 Normandy Road. Everybody says this is a quaint fishing village. Nothing is more a part of a fishing village than a fishing tournament. The residents of Madeira Beach love this tournament. When you go there, you'll see your friends, you'll see your neighbors. It's a great event for all the residents of Madeira Beach to get together and have a good time and watch the weigh-ins and eat together and have drinks together and have a good time. It is a part of Madeira Beach, as is the Seafood Festival. I think you need to waive these costs to the Seafood Festival and to the Old Salts for these tournaments. They're a part of Madeira Beach. They're a part of the quaint fishing village that you always talk about. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any comments from the commission?
Yeah, I hear the people coming up saying, you know, we need to waive this, and it's a quaint fishing village and all this. But on the other hand, the same people are saying, let's build these big buildings and change what we look like. So, I mean, what do we do? You know, we're hearing from the same people, two different sides of the coin. You know, build the tall buildings, but let's be a quaint fishing village. It's like one or the other. It's not both, you know. And where do we stop? You know, in the past, we've waived fees. We've waived fees. Okay, let's raise the millage rate so we can do this. I mean, at some point, that's what we have to do if we keep raising the rates. You know, waiving the fees. You know, it's going to either be we raise the rates on the parking meters at Johns Pass where people pay $3 an hour, so they don't have the money to spend in the stores, or we try to keep things down. And, you know, I think we need to keep the millage rate down and the parking meters down, you know, and that kind of stuff. But if we just keep giving away the city, we're not going to be able to do that. Yes, and look at our numbers. We're very tight.
I'm sorry, you've already spoken.
Have you been to the event, sir?
Yes, I have last year. I'm not denying it's a good event. I'm not saying that at all. You know, but I think the last one you gave away $200,000 and that's the word I'm looking for, prize money.
Yes.
You know, and you can't afford to pay the city.
We do 100% payback. That's why we are the largest kingfish tournament in the world. That's why we do that. Either the citizens and the anglers that live here are going to pay for it, or our charities are going to pay for it, and ultimately it's going to be our charities. We've never paid this fee in the past. The millage rate hasn't been affected by that in the past. And like I said, your logo is presented. We have a $50,000 sponsor that your logo is next to everywhere it goes. That's what they pay. And it costs a lot of money to put on these events. We don't, I mean, at the end of the day, we're donating $15,000 to $30,000 per major event. So it's nobody also in the Old Salts is paid. We're a 100% volunteer organization. We don't have a single employee.
I think we have one more person who has a public comment.
The Old Salt, live in Seminole, but I'm in Madeira Beach a lot, and I know a lot of the people in Madeira Beach. I don't think the new commissioners understand what the Old Salt is all about, okay? I think because they haven't been around, they don't know what we do. Every board member, including myself and everybody else in this room, donate their time for the money that we generate for our charities, okay? Not one of us are paid. We come out here, we take times from our personal lives, our families, to be here to raise money for our charities. So you're saying we pay out $200,000 to our anglers? That is what everybody pays into our tournaments, okay? The way our tournaments work, you pay a fee to fish our tournaments, okay? Every dollar that is paid into that gets paid out. So that is not money that we make. That money that you brought up, $200,000, that is entry fees to fish our tournaments. Our money is made from our beer sales, our apparel sales, and all that money goes to our charities. We are 100% to our charities. Nobody in the Old Salt makes a profit on it. And I know you've been to a lot of our tournaments, Ms. Oakley, and you've been there, and you see what we do. We are 100% a charity organization. Waiving a $9,000 fee for us being here for a weekend makes your city more money than you make all year round. We have a huge economic impact. Every hotel is full, every marina is full, every place is full around here. 650 boats fished our last tournament. Do you know what that cost in pre-fishing, fishing, and bait, and Publix, and Winn-Dixie? Go talk to Winn-Dixie. Go talk to Publix in Seminole. Go talk to Publix in Madeira Beach and find out how they sell out of their cold cuts. They sell out of their beer. They sell out of everything. Our economic impact is beyond anything else that is in this city. And you're worried about $9,000. That's ridiculous. Thank you.
Me again, Mike Wyckoff, 161 131st Avenue. I think the distinction needs to be made for waiving fees between those who are coming from out of town and bringing an event here that's closed to a group that's hometown guys that are here that are bringing a lot of people and a lot of money into the town. There's a difference. We're getting advertising, we're getting promotion, we're getting cross-marketing. There's a lot of benefits that these guys are bringing to the table that we're not thinking monetarily the benefit to the city, kind of in-kind trade. I think that's getting a little bit lost in the translation. There's a difference between a volleyball tournament bringing 100 people here and using the fields for a day and then they bail out. They really don't do a lot other than putting some heads in beds for a short weekend, but there's not that big advertising push that gets put on. These guys advertise all over the place. It's all over the radio, it's on TV, it's in magazines. That advertising benefits the city as a whole, not just for that weekend, but throughout the year and throughout all the other tournaments they promote as well, but specifically keeping it on topic to this one. I think we get far more than the $9,000 benefit, and it could be viewed as an in-kind trade. My 2 cents.
Any other comments?
I agree. That's a lot of effect for the local economy. But I do believe that this commission wants to see some kind of payment for what we're doing out here. Now, I know you guys pay $1,500 deposit, right? You guys pay $1,500 deposit every year. You put that down. All right, well, let's just start with a $1,500 deposit, and, you know, I know you haven't, but it looks like we're gonna have to, we need to come up with some kind of compromise. I certainly don't want to lose all 4 tournaments. I just don't. That's a terrible thing for the city of Madeira Beach. I don't want you to leave, Tom. Now,
We don't want to leave.
I know you don't want to leave. That being said, we're gonna have to come up with something that's gonna appease this commission.
And if we ever, like I said in the past, if
wait.
we created
Wait,
a problem on the field, we paid for it.
$9,000, right? You gave us a check back for $9,000
$10,000 last year.
last year.
And like I said, we just in,
Take that into the account with the $1,500 they paid 3 times. That's going to be about $15,000. So
plus, like I said, we just donated another $1,500 just to send the rec kids to the aquarium for the day. I mean, we do stuff like that constantly that's not talked about, and we promote Madeira Beach every day. It's not just during the tournaments. The marina is the host event. I mean, we have more pages on our website about the marina than the marina.
my motion is to waive the fees. You understand that?
I do understand that.
Okay. So I have no issue with that. I think you give back more than I come up with a number 10 times that $9,000. I think there's at least a $100,000 impact for City of Madeira Beach monetarily. And I think there's some costs that we can look at the marina about the gas sales, how much they improve, and the boat rentals and the slips and that type of stuff. That has to be put into the equation, and I just don't think we're seeing the whole picture. This commission's seeing the whole picture. But I don't think they're gonna let you get away scot-free. We're gonna have to come up with some kind of monetary payment. And so can we start with a $1,500
Why
deposit?
don't we start with, once Walt gives us the estimation for the hard cost of the event?
Let's start
Because
there.
there's a lot of things that go into play with this one.
Let's start there. When you say hard cost, you're talking about the cost for the field, the 9,000, right?
I'm talking about the fields, I'm talking about the manpower that we put out for it all weekend, vehicles that are used, anything else, anything that's the city's, so as long as we get our money back, let's find out where we are in that.
I thought that was the hard cost. That was a little over the 10,000. That's the hard cost.
That's
You
not.
you don't think that's enough?
This is the city's fee schedule.
Okay, all right.
It's not the hard cost of what it actually takes to do the
All right, so
event.
let's start with that. Let's go ahead and just table this until we get to, and I know what your issue is you need to start printing brochures saying,
It's already been, I mean, it's out there already. I mean, we do our marketing for a year in advance. When we came back, we, as an organization, would never dream that things were going to change to this level.
I understand.
So, it's already on,
You can't
it's
predict
there.
the future. You can't predict the future.
I do understand
I can't
that.
either. But I can try to work together
Yes.
with everybody here. Okay, so.
And like I said, we do, I mean, a lot of the things, Nancy, that you're talking about, it's like for like a seafood festival, we don't use, we own it. We bring our own trash cans. We bring a lot of our own cones.
That's
I
gonna be in
mean,
the hard cost that he's
Right.
come up with. So let's just start with that. Let's, table it for, how long do we have now? What's our window of opportunity here?
well, your next meeting is the next, what is that? September?
Be the next workshop.
There is
No,
an
you can't
urgency
make the
to make a
decision at the
decision on
workshop.
this.
But we can
like-
discuss it in the workshop.
Again, you know my decision. I'm gonna stake where the city makes the most money, and that's keeping you in town. And to keep you in town, I make more money than the 9,000. That's my take on it. That's not gonna be the take on the other end of the table.
I mean, I understand.
Okay.
You know, Terry, I understand where you're coming from, and I understand it, you know, you guys gave us a check for 10,000 last year, but everybody keeps talking 10,000 here, and it's not 10,000. It's 4 times a year, 10,000, so that's $40,000 that we're talking about, not 10,000. You know, if you're doing 4 tournaments a year,
3.
take these number and multiply it by 4, and that's what we're really talking about, in the $40,000 to $50,000 range.
That's the hard numbers, yes, absolutely. I understand.
And we're talking about,
I think
That's
there's
the event fee that we're
$100,000 back
losing.
that comes back to the city every time they have a tournament. That's 400,000. I think that's the number. Prove me wrong.
it's millions of dollars. We got drilled by this,
The chambers should
Right.
have some numbers, you know, what type of beds are in, you know, here.
we're an elite event as well.
Fishermen are big spenders. Fishermen are big spenders. If you own a boat, you have some money. You have to. It's a hole in the water that you throw money into sometimes. I'm just saying, let's just
It
go
is.
there. Let's be true. You know, the happiest fisherman's life is when he buys the boat, and the other is when he sells the boat. So let's just go there.
You know, I think, you know, from what he was just saying, you know, doing it next month's gonna be too late.
Okay, so again,
let me-
I got a motion on the
Let me
table.
finish, time out, let me finish a minute. So what I recommend is, we go ahead and pass it this time, but don't wait till a month before to come start talking to us. You need to be starting to talk to us the day after the fishing tournament ends for the next one, so we start negotiating. You know, otherwise.
Mr. Daffy, we put all our applications in January, sir.
For all 4.
For every event we do,
Well-
every year.
So you need to be start talking to us about that for next year then, now, so we can start working and coming up with a fee schedule that, like Terry said, it works for both of us.
I understand, that's fine.
That would be my recommendation.
No, and we, like I said, we've always worked hand in hand with the city, always. And we take your field as our field. I mean, like you said, we do. We clean all the way up to Winn-Dixie. We pay people to do that. So it looks better than when we got here. We're not promoters. We care and we live here. I mean, that's the big difference.
This application is not even complete either. I don't know how the city feels about it. There's not one city official that signed off on it. There's a whole section about contact names and phone numbers and return addresses and signatures and all this. None of that's filled out. I mean, what's the point in having an application if we don't have them filled out?
I call for a vote, Madam Mayor. I call for a vote. That we waive the fees for this tournament, fall tournament. That we waive the fees for the fall tournament, Fall King of the Beach.
All right. Do we have a second?
Yes,
and-
second.
All right. Any more comments from the public?
I call for a vote, Madam Mayor.
All right. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Dalford,
Yes.
Commissioner Oakley,
No.
Commissioner Hodges,
Yes.
Commissioner Lister,
Yes.
Mayor Black.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Commissioners.
Next, we have a special events, city attorney.
Yes, for your consideration, we have ordinance number 2017-08, an ordinance of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 42, Article 2, Special Events of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Madeira Beach to allow for final approval of special events by the Board of Commissioners of the city, to correct Scrivener's errors, providing for severability, and providing by an effective date, read by title only. This is the first reading of this ordinance. I can answer any questions that you all have.
This is really just reversing where the city manager,
No, it's not, there's no reversal. It just leaves the final approval of the special events based on the criteria that's outlined in the code to the Board of Commissioners.
Okay.
So the way that the process would work if the ordinance is passed would be the department heads would look at the application, the city manager would then approve the application, then it would come to the board for final approval based on the criteria that's already in the code. So you'd be looking at the same things that the city manager and the department heads look at, but you would have the final say as to approval of the special event.
any questions from the board?
Special event being anything over 75 people, as I read?
Special event is defined within, it's defined as anything that's a special event of group of 75 or more that involves city financial or in-kind contributions from the city. So that's the second caveat. It can't just be, if it's over 75 people and there's no contribution for the city or in-kind, then it's not a special event under
I
the code.
understand, thanks.
Any more questions from the board? Public comment? Do I have a motion?
And actually, Madam Mayor, prior to consideration by the board, Andrea, can you verify that this ordinance was advertised per the statute?
I cannot confirm that right now.
Okay.
I have,
Then I'm going to ask that this not be considered by the board. I didn't see anything in the backup with regard to advertising, but under the statute, it must be advertised. Typically, the city clerk would do that. I just wanted to verify that that's been done. If it hasn't been done, then this board can't consider this ordinance at this time. It's going to have to be moved to the next commission meeting for the first reading until the proper advertising has been done by the city.
Is it possible that it has been done and you just aren't aware of it? You probably would have been the one to do it, though.
correct.
Right, okay. All right, so we're going to table that until the next
Yeah,
meeting.
like I said, I hadn't seen anything in the backup as far as advertising was concerned, so I just wanted to make sure that we don't do something that we don't specifically have advertised. So we'll
Okay.
just have first consideration then at the next meeting for the Board of Commissioners.
All right, so we'll table that, and the next item is Gay versus City of Madeira Beach. City Attorney.
Yes, this case was involving William Gay and Kathy Moore. They filed a 4-count lawsuit against the City of Madeira Beach for the former commissioners, the former mayor, and then against the city for violations of sunshine, as well as public records law. That case was adjudicated by the judge. It was a declaratory judgment action, which just means that the court stood and declared the rights of the parties. So there's been no, there was no monetary damages awarded for the underlying suit. However, the public records portion of the case does include an attorney's fees provision within the statute, and so that was what was for consideration before the board. The fees that were outstanding in this case were upwards of $270,000 as calculated by plaintiff's counsel, with a multiplier that is arguably allowed under the statute. In negotiations, the city negotiated a proposed settlement of those attorney's fees to $135,000 and $4,248.70 in taxable costs. That is, a 50% reduction from the original attorney's fees amount. The settlement was authorized by this board within the amount that was given to the city manager to negotiate with. So all we're looking for tonight is for approval of the settlement of $135,000 for attorney's fees. And this provision is not covered by insurance, so this would be paid directly by the city. And I can answer any questions that you might have within reason, as this is ongoing litigation.
Any questions?
Can you tell me the multiplier that they used?
It's a multiplier that's found under the statute. I believe that it's, you know, I don't, it's formed within the estimate that they've given us in the motion. If you give me just one moment, I can pull up the motion. I can tell you exactly what the multiplier was.
That being said, there's actual numbers, hours that they worked on the case, and this multiplier was on top of the actual numbers that they worked on the case. Is that how a multiplier works?
That's correct. So that the actual, first, there's two determinations that need to be made by the court, whether or not the hours that were worked on are reasonable. It is our position that there are some duplicative hours. The fee charged for some of these services was maybe a little higher than is reasonable for the type of case that it was. So the city's position is that, you know, that could be argued to a court, that the total number of hours as well as the fees charged could be lessened. But that is their exact, it was their exact calculation of hours spent multiplied by the three attorneys' individual hourly rates, which were differentiated between the three attorneys that were on the case, and the amount that they used. So the multiplier, yeah, so just the base fees based on the 310 hours, I believe, was $108,167.50. And then they multiplied it by the multiplier, which is they're saying it's a multiplier of 1.1 to 1.5 if the trial court determines, there's ranges. So what they were asking for is 2.5 multiplier, which is the maximum multiplier that they can request underneath the current case law in the state of Florida. So they asked for the maximum amount of fees times the maximum multiplier. So they started out at the highest they could possibly get, and we negotiated down from there.
I know the meeting that we had earlier, we gave the chief, latitude to deal with this. So, do you have anything to say? Is this a good deal?
From everything that I've seen, this is the best deal we're gonna get.
I thought it was Salzman that was negotiating this, not the chief.
I'm sorry?
Well, Attorney Salzman is counsel for the insurance company, so he's been handling this case, but the commission gave the authority to the chief up to a certain threshold, which was discussed at a shade meeting, to work with Attorney Salzman in negotiating that settlement. I will tell you on the flip side of this, if the settlement is not approved by the board, the things that you would have to consider moving forward, which are pretty standard in attorney's fees cases, are hiring an expert to determine whether or not those are reasonable attorney's fees, having an evidentiary hearing will have to be held for that expert to testify, and then ultimately the court would determine whether or not the court believes our expert or believes their expert as to the reasonableness of fees, and could come up with something around the 135, or even could come up with something higher or potentially lower. So that, regardless of the settlement, that would be what would be the next step should the settlement not be approved by the board.
Well, is it your legal opinion that we probably would not do any better by going forward? I mean, by not paying him and getting another attorney?
This is something that, it's a cost to the city because this isn't covered by insurance defense. You have a certain cap for insurance defense costs as well, and my understanding is that this case is nearing that cap as well. So there could be the potential, depending upon how hard they fight this or how hard we have to fight this, that you could potentially meet the cap on that policy limit, as well as have to come out of pocket for these attorney's fees. I find that any settlement is, at the end of the day, is going to not necessarily make any party happy, but may put the city in a better position without having to expend more fees out of pocket and potentially have to pay upwards of $270,000. I don't believe that they're going to be getting $270,000 from the judge. I don't believe that the multiplier of 2.5 is warranted in this case. I agree with Attorney Salzman in that some of these fees are duplicative. Or the rates can be negotiated down. However, I do think the 135 is a reasonable amount to pay because there are good attorneys on the other side, and they can certainly argue, and the case law could go either way. So I do think it's a safe bet for the city to accept the settlement. But ultimately, it's up to the commission whether or not you want to expend those funds on behalf of the city.
Is this just on this one case?
Correct.
Thought they were gonna all be bucketed.
No, this case is separate and apart. The court has already made a determination in this case. So this case is basically done. This is just the attorney's fees provision that's being argued.
Okay. So there are still more out there.
There are still, and we will be having another shade meeting to discuss updates on those sometime in the near future.
Any other comment from the board? Public comment? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept this, $135,000 to be paid.
A second.
City Clerk, will you please read the roll?
Commissioner Lister,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges,
Yes.
Commissioner Oakley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Douthert,
Yes.
Mayor Black.
Yes. Finance Director Walt Pierce is now going to give us the quarterly investment report.
Mayor and council, in the interest of time, I'll be brief on this. In our investment policy, we have that the previous council approved, we need to provide an investment report quarterly to council, and the last one that was done was in December. So what I've done here, and I'm still learning about some of these investments that we've had, but what I've put together is a catch-up for the past 6 months. And there has been a decrease in liquid investments exceeding about 2.5 million, basically because of in our last workshop, we talked about some of the payouts for some of the stormwater projects, and we're getting process of getting reimbursements for those. So basically, the current holdings dipped to 7.2 million. But with the reimbursements that from Swift Mud County and Florida Department of Environmental Protection, we're hoping that the next quarter that figure will be larger. We do have some CDs, Seaside Bank, that total 460,000, and Bank United, a little under 400,000. Those are not as liquid as the investments above. With that said, is there any questions? I also wanted to take the opportunity, council had given me at the budget workshop, just real quick, some questions that they had. One was regarding the 4%. I was directed to determine what would be the cost of 1%. So 1% basically of all of our salaries would be $16,700. With benefits, it'd be another $7,500 for a total of $23,200. I was asked to check the CIP. The CIP for 2015 through 16 looked to be 1.2%, but the first half of this year for this area, it rose about 2.8%. The Calais machines, I've already provided this to council in an email. The total cost that we're looking at now for the 29 machines is $161,550. That's with the trade-in of the trade-in credit that we would get of $21,750. We would also get a spare parts bundle, which basically would be to help and repair in the machines. We would get free signs for each machine, part of this contract. Again, I outlined all of this in an email that I provided council. Also, council, I think was Commissioner Lister, wanted to know if we could have different colors on the machines. I also provided a color chart to council. There's a one-time cost of $600 that they can pretty much color the machines any color that's on that color chart. And that's basically it.
Just quickly, Financial Director, the Swift Mud reimbursement for the Boca Sega project, that project was supposed to end this month. The reason that it was extended to 3 months is because Pinellas County Water wanted to replace that main around the outside, which extended that project somewhere 90 days. Was Swift Mud going to?
Well, we also received an additional, and Dave can probably talk about this too, we also received an additional, and that was discussed.
$1 million, yeah, from Pinellas County.
Right.
I understand that.
Okay.
But still, Swift Mud was going to reimburse us when the project was finished, which should have been around August 22nd. Are they still on schedule to reimburse us then, or are they going to wait until we finish the project to do that, or do you know that?
As soon as part of the project is completed, or Al can talk about that.
I just thought through no fault of our own, this is going longer than it should.
Al Carrier with Doolin Associates. The project was scheduled to end August 31st, and with the pay up at excuse me, the pay up at the end of August 31st, we should be getting back all of the 100% grant dollars with the Swift Mud grant, because all those improvements were done as per the Swift Mud grant. All the improvements that were reimbursable through Swift Mud will be done at the end of August.
So we're going to be reimbursed.
We'll be reimbursed at that time.
That's my question.
So end of September, September, middle of October, we should get all the money back from
Thank you, sir.
Swift Mud.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Perfect.
that's why the next investment report that I give you through September hopefully should be significantly better than this.
Is this a report that we're supposed to approve, or it's just going to be in the minutes?
I think it's just for information purposes.
Yeah, it's not anything that,
Just
that you need to take action on.
The reason why I take it seriously is it is part of the city's investment policy, and in that policy, it says that I'm responsible to provide a quarterly report.
Okay. Any comments from anybody? All right. Next, we have got the Rex Place roadway and drainage improvement proposal. Dave?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you, Commission. What you have before you is, this is for construction oversight and administrative services, which is being done by Tina out of Al's office. Staff recommendation is for approval. She's proven herself in the field to actually save us money. So this money is very well spent. It's beyond our $15,000 threshold, and that's why it's before you today. And also the project was extended. Or not, I'm sorry, wrong project. My fault.
I make a motion to pay Doolin Associates $32,500 for professional engineering services.
Second.
Any public comment? Any more comment from the board?
That's coming from that project that we're going to get matching funds for, $495,000.
Yes, sir, that's Rex Place.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Will the interim city clerk please call the roll?
Yes. Vice Mayor Douthat?
Yes.
Commissioner Oakley?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges?
Yes.
Commissioner Lister?
Yes.
Mayor Black?
Yes. Next, we have Boca Ciega, Pinellas County Water Main Replacements Proposal.
This proposal is exactly the same as the last proposal, except for this is an extension. This is the extra 3 months that we discussed for the water main replacement around Boca Ciega. It's important for me to point out too that this has been written up as not to exceed 53,000, so we might not get to that total number.
And that's Tina again.
And once again, that's for the cost for Tina, who is our construction project inspector. So staff's recommendation is for approval. And Al's here if you'd like for him to answer any questions.
Any questions from Mr. Carrier? Any comments from the board? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion for the Pinellas County water main replacement at an hourly rate. Construction inspection services will be billed hourly at a rate of $95 per hour, not to exceed $53,200.
Second.
Any comments from the audience? Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Lister?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges?
Yes.
Commissioner Oakley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dalford?
Yes.
Mayor Black?
Yes.
Okay, moving on, I think number 9 is, I'm up again.
So you are? You're very
For
popular.
the request for, this is for the the undergrounding from 150th to 144th. This is with CPWG engineering firm. They're doing the whole design construction. We have already gone out for RFP on this, and we are looking for approval to get a PO and task order so that we can proceed with getting that project underway. We're under the gun to get this one done too.
And again, as we talked in the last budget meeting, when Steve Tart was here from CPWG, there is basically, and I provided this to council, the initial $3 million that we borrowed on phase 1, 1.8 million had already been expended. So the amount that's in here is basically what's left of that. And we are getting reimbursements from Pinellas County up to $600,000 from that Pennies for Pinellas based on the expenses from this project. So part of that money that we get back from Penny Pinellas is to help pay back that loan.
Right.
And staff recommendation on this is for approval. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to see the electricity buried along 150th from 155th down south to 150th. It came out real good. We're still fine tuning it, and there's still a couple of places that need repair, but the project is so worthwhile and puts us in a better position when the storms come rolling through also.
Can you tell me that when the lights were replaced, are they going to be conduit? Is that the word I'm looking for the Christmas ornaments, or are they going to be?
I'm
ready
waiting for
that?
another great question. I just put that question out to Duke 2.5 weeks ago.
Right.
The plugs are now built inside of the poles.
Okay.
I don't know if that's good or bad. Waiting for a response from Duke to tell me, they're very particular about who puts things on their poles, whether we put it on, they put it on. So I'm waiting for their answers now as to Christmas decorations and
Flags, whatever.
flags,
Yeah.
American flags.
Okay. And in the next phase that we'll go to 144th, that does include the replacement of the light poles, right?
Absolutely. It includes the replacement of the light poles to the same that you see out now, it's a smaller head Tractive light.
Right, yeah, it's digital. Now, we did talk about it at the last meeting, that Verizon or somebody, or Frontier, was coming from the other
That was
end.
Verizon.
Are they meeting in the middle, or what are we trying to do here?
I have a meeting with Verizon. They actually, you'll see that one of the lights are out in one of the medians, and Verizon bored through one of our electrical lines. So we're getting more information on that. That permit went through DOT since they were working in there right away, but as soon as I have more information, I can follow up.
Thanks, David.
Yes, sir.
Any more comment from the board? Public comment? Had to ask.
And staff recommendation is for approval on this, please.
Do we have a motion? For approval? I believe we do.
$1 million, right? We're gonna spend it all.
Yes, but we
If we need to spend the money to get reimbursed from
Right.
Penny.
We need approval.
You need approval to have that money allocated.
Didn't you say need approval for an
I'm
RF?
sorry, we need approval in order to give them a PO, a task order, in order for them to get started.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. So we would require a vote.
You're
please.
approving the proposal.
All right, I ask this commission to pass a request for task order for undergrounding the overhead utilities along Gulf Boulevard, approximately 150th to 144th, as part of the Big C beautification program.
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second with the city,
Commissioner Oakley,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges,
Yes.
Commissioner Lister,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dalfer,
Yes.
Mayor Black.
yes.
Thank you.
Next, we have requested approval for the FEMA fiscal year 2016 Assistance to Firefighters Grant in the amount of $40,053 and the city cost match in the amount of $2,002.
Yes, Mayor, this is a firefighting gear, state-of-the-art equipment. It'll provide every city firefighter with brand-new turnout gear at a very nominal cost. The match grant on that's $2,002. We're requesting approval.
Comments from the commission?
Good job, Chief.
Thank you.
Any comments from the public? All right, do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve, request for approval of the FEMA 2016 Assistance to Firefighters Grant in the amount of $40,053 and the city cost match in the amount of $2,002.
I'll second.
We have a first and second. Any more comment from the board? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Lister,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges,
Yes.
Commissioner Oakley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dalfer,
Yes.
Mayor Black.
Yes. Two more to go. Interim city clerk salary.
Madam Mayor, we discussed this previously at one of the workshops, and what we're requesting is that we change Andrea Gamble's pay to be commensurate with her new duties. She's covering for us as the acting clerk at this time. We have two previous employees, and we're asking that we be consistent with that and give her the same amount, make it retroactive to the time that she was made acting city clerk.
That seems reasonable. Any comments from the board?
So what happens when Ms. Johnson gets here?
She will go back to her regular salary that she got when she was hired.
And the original title as well.
Yes.
And we're going retroactive to what date?
Andrea, what day did you start?
I started on the 30th of June.
Are we gonna
Go
from there?
Yeah, just for clarification, I believe that at a commission meeting, she was actually appointed as interim city clerk, and it would be from that date forward
Right.
Which would be the second Tuesday of July?
of July.
Yeah.
I believe it was I want to say the 11th.
Whatever the second Tuesday, I don't have my calendar.
That is the 11th.
July the 11th.
Yes.
I got you. So I make a motion that we pay Andrea, wow, actually, I don't know. Is it $31.27? Is that where we're going?
Yes.
$31.27 an hour from July the 11th to the present, or until the new city clerk comes on work full-time.
And that'll be September 5th.
September the 5th, from July 11th to September the 5th.
I'll second.
Oh, it's second? Oh, okay. Do I have a second for that motion?
I thought she just seconded.
Yeah, I thought.
No, I
that's-
was, oh, I thought you meant wasn't the 5th, it was the second.
No, I seconded.
All right.
It's been a long night.
Any more comments from the board? Any more comments from the public? City Clerk, could you read the roll? Call the roll.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Dalver,
Yes.
Commissioner Oakley,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges,
Yes.
Commissioner Lister,
Yes.
Mayor Black.
Yes. And last, but, no, it's not last. Contract for the new city clerk.
It better be getting close to being last.
Well, no, we still have reports.
We do have reports. Jennifer Johnson is the young lady which you've all met with who has agreed to become our new city clerk. You've got the information there in front of you as far as what her salary and compensation will be. Our motion is to go ahead and approve that.
Any comments from the board? Any
That
comments?
was her ending salary over in Parkland. That was her exact ending salary in Parkland.
That is correct.
$2 raise, looks like. Okay.
And at this time, Chief, are you asking that they appoint her as the new city clerk effective September 5th?
That's correct, thank you.
So I will make that motion since she has jumped out on a limb here and I think sold her house, I
And
guess.
I'll second that.
She's done a lot. She really has, to come over here to the city of Madeira Beach. So I wish her the best, and I will make that motion. I'm sorry, John, didn't mean to keep talking. Did you need me to get more specific about September the 5th, 2017?
Yeah, the motion should just be that
All right.
she's, moved to appoint,
I move to appoint Jennifer Johnson, city clerk of Madeira Beach,
effective on September 5th, 2017.
starting September the 5th, 2017.
Did we get a second?
I'll second that again.
Any more comments from the board? Public, any more comments? Interim city clerk, could you please call the roll?
Sure. Commissioner Oakley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dalver,
Yes.
Commissioner Lister,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges.
Yes.
Mayor Black.
Yes. And finally, we have reports and correspondence. Any reports from the city commission? If you do, make them short.
John and I are going, I guess, and maybe Chief's going to the Florida League of Cities coming up this couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely, so am I.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's nice.
I would like to just bring up two things. Chief, for the next BOC meeting, if you would have your complete resume, if we're going to go through this again, attached, not just the short letter. I appreciate that. And second thing, like with the Old Salt tournament, you know, all those forms were not signed and filled out. And once again, we're getting stuff that's not complete, that we're sitting here we're supposed to be voting on, and we need to keep a better eye on that.
Agreed. I can tell you that a lot of times they file those things ahead of time, and then as they get closer, then they go in there and make sure all their I's are crossed and their T's are dotted, or vice versa. It's late.
Any other comments from the commission? Reports? City attorney?
Nothing for me, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. City manager, acting city manager,
No, ma'am, I'm fine tonight, thank you.
and interim city clerk.
Nothing from me.
It is now 9:59, and the meeting is adjourned.